Parasite, Gu, breeding longevity path, starting from the love-enamored Gu. Author, Thousand Lakes True Person. Genre, Adventure, Martial Arts, Cultivation Fantasy. Chapter 281. The Demon Calling Heart Sutra appears in the world, being weak is a sin. 3. There are numerous people who have offended the nascent soul ancestor, yet not all of them are dead. My lord, you don't need to worry about us. Worst case, well, move again. The world is vast, there's no place we can't go. Lang Yuexi hummed coldly, a trace of chill flashing in her eyes. She didn't have deep affection for this ocean region anyway. As long as she was with her beloved, anywhere was home, and moving again was nothing to fuss about. This youngster thought he could intimidate her with the nascent soul ancestor. Quite amusing. What? Hearing this, Shang Guansu's face turned green. He had thought this man was ruthless, but the woman was even more so. She completely disregarded his identity as the nascent soul ancestor's son, intending to slaughter him on the spot. Now, he deeply regretted it. If he had known earlier about the formidable man backing this woman, he wouldn't have laid a hand on her, even if it killed him. Damn the consequences. Many male cultivators have died at the hands of a woman for this very reason. I can spare you. But you must swear an oath to the heart demon. You can't speak of what happened today. And you can't retaliate against us in any way. If you agree to these conditions, perhaps I could spare your life. Zhou Sui looked at Shang Guansu indifferently. He initially wanted to kill him instantly, but considering the nascent soul ancestor supporting him, he decided to hold back. Besides, he didn't want to abandon the base he had just found. Importantly, things may not have reached a point of no return. Because he had cultivated a supreme demonic cultivation technique, the heart demon invocation. The first level of this technique could conjure a demon seed and plant it in an enemy's body. If they broke the promises linked to the demon seed, the seed would activate and devour their soul, making them a puppet. Previously, he never had the opportunity to utilize this demonic technique. After all, his fellow members of the Immortal Mist sect were all on his side. It wouldn't be right to use this practice on his own people and implant a demon seed in them. But this situation was different. These 3 Golden Core Masters were ideal candidates for the heart demon invocation. If a demon seed were implanted in them, they would no longer have control over their own lives. Upon hearing this, Shang Guansu almost burst out laughing, his heart calming significantly. It seemed that this youth, despite his outward bluster and claims of not fearing his father, Shang Guanqing, was terrified indeed. After all, who would want to offend a nascent soul ancestor unnecessarily? That would be a sure path to death. As for swearing an oath to the heart demon, he wasn't afraid of that. As the son of a nascent soul ancestor, he naturally had items on hand to break the oath of the heart demon. Of course, he wasn't foolish enough to reveal this information. If he truly angered the youth who might kill him on the spot, wouldn't he be helpless and lamenting? Even if his father avenged him in the future, it would be of no significance. By then, he would be dead. What use would it be? His life was precious. He wouldn't gamble it against the youth's. All right. I agree. I won't speak of anything that happened today. And I won't seek revenge on you in any way. If I break this vow, let me be struck by divine punishment. Shang Guansu spoke with a solemn oath, swearing to heaven. Buzz buzz. The moment he finished speaking, an invisible demon seed silently penetrated Shang Guansu's body, melding into his soul, forming a kind of pact. At this moment, Zhou Sui felt an invisible connection form between him and Shang Guansu. It seemed as if Shang Guansu had become part of him. But the demon seed had yet to be activated. Once it was, it would immediately devour Shang Guansu's soul. So this is how it is, this is the demon seed formed by the heart demon invocation. In essence, this is a heart demon, a controllable heart demon. If they betray their promises and pact, it will activate immediately. No wonder the Yama sect is universally condemned in the East Wastelands. Such a demonic method is incredibly eerie and terrifying, a moment's carelessness could invoke a heart demon. After all, no one can guarantee that they will keep their promise at all times. Zhou Sui was very pleased. The method of the heart demon invocation was unimaginably similar to the Gu insects he had mastered. And it was infinitely mysterious, difficult for the enemy to resist. Apparently, his decision to spare Shang Guansu was the correct one. After all, if Shang Guansu were killed here, his life tablet would shatter instantly, notifying the nascent soul ancestor, Shang Guanqing, of his son's death. By then, even if he was unwilling, he would have to flee. However, now was different. Shang Guansu had a demon seed in him and swore an oath to the heart demon. If he broke the oath, he would be immediately possessed by the demon seed and become a puppet. His life or death would be at Zhou Sui's discretion. From then onwards, whenever Shang Guansu was destined to die, his death would not be linked to Zhou Sui himself. As long as the life tablet didn't shatter, the nascent soul ancestor wouldn't bother him. After all, Shang Guansu had so many enemies, his father, the nascent soul ancestor Shang Guanqing, couldn't possibly avenge him against all of them. In this way, it was a plan that killed many birds with one stone. Fellow deist, I have already made the oath to the heart demon. May I ask if I can leave now? Also, can my golden core guards also leave? Chapter 282. The demon calling Heart Sutra appears in the world, being weak is a sin. 4. Shang Guansu wished he could get away from this dangerous place and man as soon as possible. Nonetheless, he put on a flattering smile, trying to soothe the other party. After all, he must not provoke him at any cost now. His life literally depended on this man. Oh, you even remembered your guards. Somewhat a man of affection and righteousness, aren't you? I don't mind letting your 2 golden core guards leave. But they too will have to make a heart demon vow. Otherwise, they can only die here. Zhou Sui said indifferently. No problem, we will make the heart demon vows too. Learning of this, Zhang Wen and Li Hu, the 2 golden core cultivators, were overjoyed. They originally thought they were doomed and would definitely become the targets of venting anger. They hadn't expected such a glimmer of hope. Truth be told, although they were severely wounded by Zhou Sui, already half dead and bloodied, they were not completely dead. If they took the healing pills in time, they still had a chance to survive. Naturally, they didn't want to die here. Then let's start. Zhou Sui silently created 2 demonic seeds again and implanted them into the 2 golden core guards. I, Zhang Wen vow to heaven. I, Li Hu vow to heaven. With this in mind, the 2 golden core guards immediately made the heart demon vow to Zhou Sui. Hum hum. The 2 demonic seeds also quietly merged into their bodies, taking root and sprouting deep within their souls. Of course, neither of the 2 golden core cultivators noticed anything. An hour later, Shang Guansu quickly left with the 2 golden core guards. They did not dare to stay in the Immortal Mist City, fearing that Zhou Sui might change his mind and decide to kill them there. At this point, the disciples of the Immortal Mist sect quickly sealed off this area, swiftly repairing the buildings and streets in the area, and completely blocking the news from here. The loose cultivators in the Immortal Mist City only knew that a fight had occurred inside the city between Golden Core Masters. But the battle was brief and did not cause much damage, only a few buildings were damaged. Although the loose cultivators were shocked, they couldn't dig up much information about it. Moreover, they didn't delve too much into the details. After all, curiosity killed the cat. Those were the secrets of the Golden Core Masters. Knowing too much would not benefit them, the loose cultivators, in any way. Husband, can we really trust those 3's heart demon vows? Lang Yuexi was a little skeptical about their integrity. Maybe they would seek revenge as soon as they were safe. Of course, it was her husband's decision and she would not oppose it. Rest assured, I'm not trusting their character. But the demonic seeds I've implanted in them. Haven't you forgotten? I acquired an ancient inheritance from the Yama sect. Zhou Sui replied, revealing the power of his demonic summoning technique. I see, no wonder you were so confident. You had already planted the demonic seeds in them. The moment they break their vows, they'll be consumed by the heart demon. If anything happens to them by then, it has nothing to do with us and there will be no blame to fall on us. Upon realizing this, Lang Yuexi understood her husband's plan. No wonder her husband had so readily agreed to their request. In reality, from the very beginning, these 3 were already living on borrowed time. They were only spared for the time being to avoid unnecessary trouble. I'm sorry, husband. It's all because of me that we ended up in this mess. Muzii stood in front of Zhou Sui, feeling guilty. If it weren't for her, Shang Guansu wouldn't have been provoked, and they wouldn't have encountered such danger. Foolish, what does this have to do with you? You haven't done anything wrong. If I must point out a fault, it would be that you're too weak. In the world of cultivation, weakness itself is a sin. If you were a nascent soul ancestor, who would dare harm you? When you meet Shang Guansu, just kill him with one slap. Zhou Sui looked at Muzi. I understand, husband. Having heard this, Muzi clenched her fists, burning up with ambition in her heart. Initially, she was a female cultivator with no ambition at all, thinking that as long as she had her husband by her side, she could lead a peaceful family life without doing anything extra. But now, things were different. Even under her husband's protection, she still needed to strive to better herself. In the world of cultivation, without power, one could only be bullied. This was an inescapable harsh reality. Chapter 283. The Terror of the Demon Seed, Breaking the Third Stage Prohibition Breaking Talisman _1. A few hours later, Shang Guansu, accompanied by the two Golden Core Guardians Li Hu and Zhang Wen, swiftly left Immortal Mist City in their flying boat, covering a distance of thousands of miles. They did not put their guard down until the site of the Immortal Mist City was completely obscured from their view. Damn that Immortal Mist City! I won't forget what happened this time. Shang Guansu gritted his teeth, seething with resentment. Never in his life had he been so humiliated or suffered such a huge loss. He had narrowly escaped death, falling a hair's breadth short of perishing in enemy hands. Thanks to the fact that his enemies feared his father, Shang Guanqing, he had survived. Otherwise, there was no doubt he would have met his end. Right now, he wished he could rip those bastards apart. Young master, that woman should be the sect master of the Immortal Mist Sect, Lang Yuexi. That woman from the talisman store is also a cultivator from the Immortal Mist Sect. The man might be Lang Yuexi's Dao companion. Their turf is within the Tri-Star Island group. They rely on the Wuji Alliance for their livelihood, so naturally, they wouldn't dare to attempt your life. Guardian Zhang Wen said in a solemn voice. At this moment, recalling the information related to the Immortal Mist Sect, he immediately realized that the female Golden Core cultivator they had encountered was none other than Sect Master Lang Yuexi. Young Master, this defeat is too humiliating. That bunch of strangers who have intruded into the Wuji Alliance's territory, those damned mutts dare to treat us like this. If we don't show them who we are, we'll inevitably become the laughingstock of the Wuji Alliance. Guardian Li Hu clenched his fist, his heart full of rage. After remembering the fear of facing death, he wished he could annihilate all the cultivators of the Immortal Mist Sect. He, a distinguished Golden Core Master, had been begging for mercy like a dog. It was an unforgivable humiliation. No matter what, he had to take his revenge. If he failed to do so, he couldn't bear the shame. Do you really need to say it? When has anyone who offended me, Shang Guan Su, ever had it easy? However, we need to plan wisely for this matter. Those bastards are not easy targets. They are Golden Core Masters and not easy to kill. Shang Guansu's face was stern. He didn't want to bother his father, Shang Guanqing, with this matter. Besides, his father wouldn't help him unless his enemies had actually killed him. After all, his father had many children. If everyone came running to him for every little problem, he would surely be overwhelmed. Young master, have you forgotten something? The reason we headed to Immortal Mist City was because of the bloody old monster. That scoundrel has been eyeing the city, planning to gather his followers and loot it. Immortal Mist City is doomed. Guardian Zhang Wen's eyes glowed coldly. The reason for their trip to Immortal Mist City was not unfounded, it was based on news from the bloody old monster. The bloody old monster, a notorious bandit in this oceanic region, was on the Wuji Alliance's wanted list. However, he was a Golden Core completion cultivator and often eluded the Wuji Alliance with his formidable combat strength. More importantly, the bloody old monster had good relations with some higher UPS of the Wuji Alliance. He was a contract killer for these powers, doing their dirty work. This man often targeted weak forces, brutally annihilating them. After receiving this news, they found out that Immortal Mist City had been targeted by the bloody old monster. Knowing how wealthy the city was, they wanted a piece of the action. Who could have imagined that shortly after entering the Immortal Mist City, they would be beaten up? They had nearly died. So, you're saying Immortal Mist City is indeed finished? The bloody old monster never fights unless he's sure of his victory. I heard he has reached Golden Core completion and started attempting nascent soul. During this time, he has committed frequent crimes and many forces have fallen under his hands. It's not hard to imagine the fate of the forces targeted by the bloody old monster. We can use this opportunity to follow the bloody old monster and strike a big blow to Immortal Mist City. Shang Guansu's eyes glowed with a frigid light, and he was very excited. He planned on gathering some of his friends as soon as he returned and teaming up with the bloody old monster to go after Immortal Mist City. This time, he intended to leave no trace of those bastards from Immortal Mist City. And those female cultivators. He picked up also, to let them understand how formidable he was. That man too. He would capture him, subject him to various forms of torture, and make him wish for death but unable to die. Rumble. Just as Shang Guansu, Zhang Wen, and Li Hu were consumed by their vengeful fantasies, the demon seeds lurking within their bodies suddenly erupted, a dark fog enveloping them. What? Shang Guansu and the others were taken aback, baffled by what had happened. They felt a surge of intense pain coming from deep within their bodies, as if they were being bitten by countless ants. The intense pain, however, didn't last long. Only a second later, the three of them descended into an abyss of darkness. Their souls were devoured by the heart demons, leaving their bodies as an empty shell with hollow, dark eyes. It seemed their bodies had been completely seized by the demons and turned into puppets. Meanwhile, Zhou Sui, who had returned to Immortal Mist Peak of Immortal Mist Sect, sensed the abnormality with the demon seeds immediately. This was an impressive feature of the demon seed regardless of distance, it could easily sense the slightest anomaly. Chapter 284. The Terrifying Magic Seed, Breaking the Third Stage Prohibition Talisman _2. Hey, the demon seed is activated so quickly? Isn't this a bit too fast? Zhou Sui blinked. He had initially thought that the demon seed would take at least a few days, if not several months, to activate. However, he had drastically underestimated the intensity of a villain's desire for revenge. While a gentleman may bide his time for a decade to enact revenge, villains cannot wait even a second. In just a few hours after his departure, Shang Guansu and his ilk had already violated their promises and started plotting their revenge. The outcome was predictable, they immediately triggered the demon seed's contract and activated the heart demon. In a sudden moment, their souls were completely devoured by the demon seed, stripping them of their sense of self. With a simple intentional command from Zhou Sui now, these three would cease to exist in this world. Not bad at all. There's no hurry to retrieve the demon seed. Let's keep it within these three for now. As long as Shang Guansu is alive, the nascent soul ancestor Shang Guanqing won't have any reason to move against Immortal Mist City. Moreover, I can even leverage Shang Guansu's influence to investigate the intelligence of the higher UPS of the Wuji Alliance. Zhou Sui stroked his chin, feeling quite satisfied. His plan this time can be deemed foolproof, not only resolving the crisis of Immortal Mist City but also implanting a pawn among the upper echelons of the Wuji Alliance. Of course, since the trio of Shang Guansu is essentially half-dead, they are akin to puppets that require manipulation. Fortunately, for Zhou Sui, this is nothing more than child's play. With the help of the bookworm and clone Gu, he had already mastered the art of multitasking. Not to mention controlling 3 puppets, even controlling dozens is no issue for him. But the bloody old monster actually wants to take on Immortal Mist City. He sure has big guts. Is it true that wealth tempts even the noblest of hearts? Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes. Although he hadn't completely devoured the demon seed and couldn't know all of Shang Guansu's memories, he could still learn a small portion. Among them was information about the bloody old monster. This bloody old monster had quite a notorious reputation. The waters of the Wuji Alliance were full of stories of his infamy, even overshadowing the once famous 3 owls of the Wu clan. He was known for bullying the weak and fearing the strong. The islands targeted by the bloody old monster were generally doomed. Of course, he wouldn't provoke those with too much power. The reason he targeted Immortal Mist City was that its rapid development over the past decade had accumulated vast wealth. Just like a nouveau riche. However, the bloody old monster was unaware of the trouble the Yu family and other Golden Core families had previously encountered with Immortal Mist City. After all, this matter was not disclosed by the Immortal Mist sect and the implicated families didn't voluntarily expose their failures to avoid attracting the attention of rival families and inviting disaster. As a result, the bloody old monster and his band of robbers still treated Immortal Mist City as easy pickings. But this is also a good opportunity. Once these robbers are taken care of, it's unlikely that anyone would dare harm Immortal Mist City for a while. Sometimes being too low profile is not a good thing, as it makes one appear to be an easy target. Only by showing power when necessary can one avoid all kinds of trouble. A cold glint flashed in Zhou Sui's eyes. He had already planned to eliminate the bloody old monster and make him an example. But since the bloody old monster and his gang dare to target Immortal Mist City, they must be confident. They know about the third stage array in Immortal Mist City, yet they still dare to invade. They must have a way to break the array. That means the bloody old monster must have a third stage prohibition breaking talisman. Too bad they don't know. For me, the so-called third stage prohibition breaking talisman is completely useless. Zhou Sui stroked his chin again. To be honest, ever since he had witnessed the power of the third stage prohibition breaking talisman during the last invasion by Golden Core Masters, he had been pondering over the past 5 years how to counteract its power. With enough contemplation, he had finally discovered a way to crack the third stage prohibition breaking talisman. The reason a third stage prohibition breaking talisman can break a formation. It's because this kind of talisman can automatically find the nodes of a third stage formation. Once the node is rendered ineffective, the whole formation would be useless. So why is it ineffective against the fourth stage formation? Because the fourth stage formation is a composite formation, with too many nodes appearing. Even if one is destroyed, there are others that can be used. Furthermore, the nodes of the fourth stage formation can even move. Therefore, the third stage prohibition breaking talisman has no effect against the fourth stage formation. But this doesn't mean that the third stage prohibition breaking talisman is invincible. If that were the case, what would be the use of an array master? One could directly use the prohibition breaking talisman and decode countless formations. As long as the principle is known, the decryption becomes simple. The third stage prohibition breaking talisman can automatically find the nodes of the formation, so one can simply set up fake formation nodes, attracting the third stage talisman to the fake nodes. Real is false, false is real, that is the mystery of the formation. This is similar to the struggle between hackers and white hat hackers in the computer world in the previous life. If a virus invasion can be stopped, then the virus is useless. The third stage prohibition breaking talisman is the virus that invades the formation. If the opposition thinks that they can do as they please with the third stage prohibition breaking talisman, they'll surely be in for a big surprise. A few days later, outside the Water Star Island of the Tri-Star Island Group, near Immortal Mist City, a streak of light flies by. Standing in mid-air, 5 elderly men with yellow and thin faces appeared over the sea. They were emanating a terrifying wave of mana, forming an actual pressure. So this is Water Star Island's Immortal Mist City. Just as the intelligence said, it was established only 10 years ago but has gathered a large amount of wealth. If we were to plunder this city, we might be able to gather enough resources for the 5 of us to reach the nascent soul stage. The one speaking was the Blood Path Old Monster, a cultivator at the completion of the Golden Core stage, radiating terrifying fire element mana, as if forming an endless sea of fire, that suffocated the surroundings. It is said that the Immortal Mist City was built by 3 foreign Golden Core sects. Together they only have 3 Golden Core cultivators, 2 are at the latter stage of the Golden Core and 1 is at the beginning. However, the setup of a third stage formation here is indeed a bit troublesome. Another Golden Core cultivator revealed a cold light in his eyes. His name was Ice Ape Old Monster, a cultivator of the same stage as the Blood Path Old Monster, possessing a terrifying ice element divine art. He carried an aura of coldness that seemed capable of freezing the entire sea region with ease. Don't worry, I have 3 third stage prohibition breaking talismans on me. Just a third stage formation. Easy to break. With the third stage formation gone, won't dealing with these 3 Golden Core female cultivators be as easy as turning over one's hand? Another Golden Core cultivator spoke. He was called Green Bull Master. He emitted wood element mana, with green creepers coiling around his body and his skin was like dry bark. He was also a cultivator who was not inferior to the Blood Path Old Monster. Not bad, since that's the case, there's no need to waste time. Now is the time to show these 3 foreign Golden Core sects the cruelty of the Wuji Alliance's sea region. Although the Kanglan Sea region is vast, it doesn't mean any sect can exist here. A terrifying murderous intent erupted from the Blood Path Old Monster. He flashed and appeared in the sky above Water Star Island. The terrifying Golden Core law domain emanated from his body. Fire dragons seemed to coil around him, and an endless sea of fire was released within dozens of miles. Immortal Mist Sect, Danding Faction, King Mu Sect. Come out and die. His voice was thunderous, encompassing the mana of a Golden Core stage, sweeping through the entire Immortal Mist City and even affecting some parts of the Water Star Island. This shocked many cultivators who were in meditation, waking them from their cultivation. Their eardrums ached, some even suffered internal injuries, and they couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Many loose cultivators living in Immortal Mist City were uneasy, completely unaware of what was happening. At this moment, Ji Binjiu, Mu Ziai, Xia Jinjian, as well as Lang Yuexi, Shen Baiqian and Lin Yazhu, who were residing on Immortal Mist Peak, all heard the voice of this Golden Core Master. The Blood Path Old Monster has finally arrived, hey! Zhou Sui opened his eyes, sensing the auras from outside the island. He had been waiting for a long time. Therefore, he wasn't surprised at the arrival of the 5 Golden Core Masters from outside. Whiz! In an instant, Lang Yuexi, Shen Baiqian, and Lin Yazhu, the 3 Golden Core Masters, looked at each other with grave expressions. They flashed and turned into a streak of light, arriving above Immortal Mist City and at the edge of the formation, facing the Blood Path Old Monster and the others from a distance. Chapter 285. The Power of the Third Stage Dream Region, the Strength of Dream Soul Gu _1. Red Blood Old Monster. What brings you to our Immortal Mist City? I don't recall any grievances between us. Lin Yazhu stared at these 5 late-stage Golden Core cultivators, although she had heard from her husband that 5 late-stage Golden Core cultivators were about to attack Immortal Mist City. Still, when she actually saw them in person, she felt immense pressure. Of course, remembering what had happened the last time, she was somewhat at ease. As long as her husband was here, these 5 late Golden Core cultivators would count for nothing. I bear none of you any grudge. I have heard that Immortal Mist City is quite prosperous. I wish to borrow some spirit stones to purchase nascent soul resources. The Red Blood Old Monster chuckled, looking at Lin Yazhu and the others. Oh, you wish to borrow spirit stones? That can be easily arranged. I just happen to have 1,000 top-grade spirit stones on hand. I can lend them to you as a gesture of goodwill. Lin Yazhu stated solemnly. 1,000 top-grade spirit stones? Are you treating us like beggars? We 5 Golden Core Masters have come here, do you think 1,000 top-grade spirit stones will make us leave? Open your formation now, let us select from your sect's treasury. This way, you can avoid a major disaster. Otherwise, disaster will certainly befall you today. The Ice Ape Old Monster's face was ferocious, his small eyes flashing with icy glares, his body emitting waves of chilling air. The sea under his feet seemed to freeze into an icy realm, showcasing his formidable Golden Core cultivation power. So there is no room for negotiation. Lin Yazhu squinted her eyes, staring at the Golden Core cultivators. Negotiate my ass. This is the Kanglan Sea. The strong rule here, it's the law of the jungle. You dare to build a city in the Kanglan Sea without any power, you are simply courting death. Today, I will plunder all the wealth of your Immortal Mist City. If you are lucky enough to survive today, I will come again next time. Green Bull Master laughed coldly. At this time, he took out a 3rd stage talisman, and when he activated the massive mana within his body, the talisman transformed into a stream of light that disappeared into Wood Spirit Island. Boom! In an instant, the entire Immortal Mist City shook violently, as if there had been a major earthquake. The 3rd stage formation that encompassed the whole city vanished instantly. The original barrier was completely gone, leaving the door wide open. The spirit vein aura of the entire Wood Spirit Island was very unstable, the sea was turbulent, and the waves were towering. Countless fish were shocked until they turned belly up, floating on the sea surface. Is this a 3rd order prohibition-breaking talisman? Such a precious talisman, you actually have one. Shen Baiqian's eyes narrowed, she sensed that the aura of the 3rd order formation of Immortal Mist City had disappeared in an instant. At this moment, they had also lost the protection of the 3rd order formation. We can say their home field advantage had vanished without a trace. Haha, yes, it's a 3rd order prohibition-breaking talisman, designed to break all 3rd order formations. You think by relying on the 3rd order formation of Immortal Mist City, you can be invincible. It really is a small-town Golden Core sect, completely unaware of the many tools in the Kanglan Sea to deal with 3rd order formations. Don't think that just because you have a formation, you can do whatever you want in the Kanglan Sea. Now that you've lost the protection of the 3rd order formation, I'm curious to see what you 3 Golden Core female cultivators will do. Green Bull Master laughed manically, looking supremely confident. The other 4 Golden Core Masters also dispersed, forming a closing-in maneuver. They had no intention of letting Lin Yazhu and the other Golden Core female cultivators go, they wanted to eliminate them once and for all. At this moment, all the cultivators inside Immortal Mist City were alarmed. They were not fools, they were naturally aware of the anomaly. They all initiated their escape techniques and transformed into streaks of light, quickly leaving Immortal Mist City. At this time, they were all trembling with fear as they looked at the sky, as if the end of the world was upon them. It's over, it's over. The red blood old monster has actually come to attack Immortal Mist City. 5 late-stage Golden Core cultivators, they want to destroy Immortal Mist City. Originally, with the support of the Third Order formation, Immortal Mist City might still have a fighting chance. Right? Unfortunately, that Green Bull Master has a Third Order prohibition-breaking talisman, and instantaneously rendered the Third Order formation ineffective. Immortal Mist City has no chance of turning the tide now. What should we do now? A battle between Golden Core cultivators is no small matter. If we are not careful, we will die in the aftermath of their battle. We must evacuate Immortal Mist City quickly. Many cultivators were panicking and wanted to flee. They were all lower-level cultivators, with Foundation Establishment cultivators being the most powerful individuals they could meet. As for Golden Core Masters, they were unimaginably powerful beings, comparable to land gods. The aftermath of such powerful people's battles could kill countless Qi cultivation stage cultivators. No way, we 3 major sects, came all the way to the Wuji Alliance, and now we're facing such a disaster. It took us so long to finally be stable for 10 years. There are abundant resources here, and we might be able to find resources for core formation. We didn't expect Golden Core bandits to come. The heavens are so unfair. What's there to fear? Just 5 Golden Core Masters. Our sect master is also in the late Golden Core stage. They might not have a winning hand, we still have a chance of victory. That's right, the battle hasn't even begun yet, and you're already boosting the morale of others while dampening our own spirits. Are you worthy to be a cultivator of Immortal Mist City? You're totally humiliating us. Chapter 286. The power of the third stage dream region, the strength of the dream soul Gu _2. Don't be scared, let's leave the likes of the Vladimir to our sect master. Our mission is to protect the Immortal Mist City. When chaos erupts like this, those loose cultivators probably aim to stir the muddy water to fish, looting, and wreaking havoc everywhere. Rest assured, we won't allow these loose cultivators to cause chaos. If anyone causes trouble, we will show no mercy. Thinking to stir the muddy waters unhindered, these loose cultivators would first need to check if the swords in our hands are sharp or not. The cultivators of the 3 great sects are seething with murderous intent. They know that a large-scale chaos like this will surely be an opportunity for many loose cultivators to stir the mud to fish. Risk is inherent in pursuing wealth and success. If those loose cultivators took this opportunity to wreak havoc, looting and protecting a shop might allow them to make a fortune. No cultivator could withstand such a temptation. Therefore, they absolutely cannot tolerate loose cultivators causing disorder. Nevertheless, they were also aware that the key this time was not the loose cultivators, but Golden Core Masters. If they could eliminate Vladimir and the others, Immortal Mist City would undoubtedly become famous, attracting endless cultivators for settlement. However, if they fail, the 3 great sects in Immortal Mist City would vanish from history and become ashes. Even though they had great confidence in their own sect master, sensing the profound mana from the 5 late Golden Core cultivators in the sky, their confidence waned. After all, there were only 3 Golden Core Masters in Immortal Mist City. How could they contend with 5 late Golden Core Masters? Attack! In an instant, Vladimir and the other 5 Golden Core cultivators, without uttering another word, rushed towards Lin Yazoo and others. They didn't want to waste more words, they would capture these 3 Golden Core female cultivators first. Boom! However, at this moment, a ball of purple light soared into the sky and instantly morphed into a huge light barrier, enclosing a radius of hundreds of miles like a turtle shell. A giant array barrier was formed, blocking the sky and sun, enveloping all cultivators in this area. No one could advance or retreat. What? Vladimir and the others' pupils shrank as they found the area they were in was wrapped in a purple barrier, and the surrounding area was filled with endless purple mist. A terrifying force of the formation zone suppressed everything in all directions. The original third class, high-grade prohibition-breaking talisman had also completely lost its effectiveness. Impossible. I just used a third class, high-grade prohibition-breaking talisman. The third order formation in this area should have temporarily stopped operating. Why is it operating again? Green Bull Master simply couldn't believe what he was seeing. According to his earlier estimates, the third order formation of Immortal Mist City should be unusable. Yet now, the third order formation was not only functional, but there were also no signs of damage, remaining in perfect condition. He was rather dazed, even doubting whether the third class, high-grade prohibition-breaking talisman he received was fake. Thought your third class, high-grade prohibition-breaking talisman could dissolve all third-order formations. If the prohibition-breaking talisman is really that powerful, what's the use of array masters? The so-called prohibition-breaking talisman can only deal with large formations without array master control. Shen Baiqian sneered, looking disdainfully at the group of Golden Core Masters. Could it be that Immortal Mist City has a third-order array master? How is it possible for a remote Golden Core sect in a remote sea area to have a third-order array master? But your faces showed pure panic just now. Now I see. Earlier you were deceiving us, acting. Damn it, you women are really untrustworthy, each and every one of you are liars. Green Bull Master was livid. Recalling the panicking face of Shen Baiqian and the others, he certainly knew they must have been putting on an act. The whole purpose was to lure him and his comrades into the formation. As a result, they foolishly entered the formation, played straight into these women's hands. This world was too complicated. No woman was trustworthy. He was maddened, wishing he could dismember these 3 Golden Core female cultivators. Kill! Vladimir roared and immediately pulled out a high-grade magic treasure, the 9 Dragon Flame Mirror, his signature magic treasure possessing earth-shattering power. Once unleashed, it would summon 9 flame dragons, engulfing 100 miles radius in an inferno, akin to setting a mountain aflame and boiling the sea. Boom! He saw him mobilizing the tremendous Golden Core cultivation power within his body, channeling it into this top-grade magical treasure, and instantly from the mirror, flew out 900-meter-long flame dragons, their bodies all made up of fiery red flames. His body was surrounded on all sides by the 9 flame dragons, exuding a terrifying oppressive force, and an endless sea of fire formed around him. Roar roar! The 9 flame dragons roared, striking in all directions, trying to shatter this third stage formation. Boom! They ferociously collided against the array barrier, releasing a terrifying flame power. Unfortunately, it had no effect whatsoever. This force was immediately blocked by the Mist Yin-Yang formation's barrier, causing only a ripple in the barrier, absolutely incapable of shaking this formation at all. As expected, it's a high-grade third-stage formation. On top of that, it's being controlled by a third-stage array master, the power within it is extraordinary. You cannot hold back any longer, otherwise, we will surely be left inside this formation. The Blood Fiend's face turned extremely grave, as even his full-strength strike using a top-grade magical treasure failed to shake this third-stage formation. The solidity of this formation's array barrier was simply beyond imagination. We need to kill these 3 Golden Core female cultivators. Then find the array master. The Ice Ape Old Monster didn't hesitate and immediately took out a top-grade magical treasure, the Ice Snow Staff. He saw him holding the staff, releasing a terrifying icy mist from his body, endless and boundless, spreading rapidly several dozen miles around his body. Wherever this mist went, it froze everything in its path. The surrounding sea area formed into thick blocks of ice, and the temperature also rapidly dropped to -20 or 30 degrees. The cultivators in the distance felt this cold air and couldn't help but shiver. Kill! Green Bull Master was even more vengeful in his attacks. He pulled out his top-grade magical treasure, the Devil Vine Ring, which was his life-linked magical treasure. He saw him lightly swing it, this magical treasure unexpectedly turned into black vines. Almost instantly, countless black vines swarmed out, as though forming a vine cage, thoroughly enclosing an area of over 10 miles in all directions. Each black vine was akin to a god-killing spear, containing an immense destructive power, and rushed towards Lin Yazoo and the other 3 Golden Core cultivators. The other 2 Golden Core masters did not hesitate either, pulling out the magical treasures they had. The 5 Golden Core masters attacked at the same time, immediately unleashing an unimaginable power. Swish! In an instant, Zhou Sui's mind moved, manipulating the Great Array, instantly switching the positions of Lin Yazoo and the other 2, teleporting them to another place, dodging the attack of the 5 Golden Core masters. At the same time, he immediately controlled his Dream Soul Gu, launching an attack on the 5 Golden Core masters. Ability Dream Region. This was the ability that the Dream Soul Gu mastered after stepping into the third stage realm. This ability could turn the power of dreams into a reality, forming a dream realm covering dozens of miles. All living beings in the dream realm would fall into a dream, unable to distinguish between reality and fantasy. The power of the third stage Dream Soul Gu, as well as Zhou Sui's soul power that matched that of a late-stage golden core cultivator combined, allowed the dream realm's power to be unleashed to its greatest extent. Immediately, centered around the dream soul goo, silently and rapidly, the dream realm spread out, covering the 5 golden core masters, causing them to instantly fall into the dreamland. At this moment, whatever they see in the dream realm would be an illusion. They even mistook their companions as enemies and engaged in a life and death battle. Boom boom boom. Immediately, the 5 golden core masters, including the blood fiend old monster, started fighting against each other, controlling their high-grade magical treasures, and began their combat. This sea area was filled with an enormous golden core fluctuation in an instant, causing the whole sea to roar aloud. Luckily, they were in the middle of the sea. If it were on an island, perhaps a hundreds of miles radius area would have been razed to the ground, many mountains shattered. This was proof of the overwhelming strength of golden core masters. It was beyond imagination. Each movement between raising hands and moving feet contained a tremendous power. Chapter 287. 5 Nascent Soul Spiritual Objects, Big Harvest _1. At this very moment, Lang Yuexi, Shen Baiqian, and Lin Yazi from a distance, naturally saw everything that happened. Is this the soul secret art my husband possesses? To even be able to transform it into the dream region, forming a tangible illusion, it's marvelous. He's toying with these golden core elders. Shen Baiqian's eyes widened in amazement. She witnessed the Red Blood Elder and the others in the dream region killing each other ruthlessly, desperately draining their own mana and talismans. Perhaps they wouldn't need to lift a finger, these golden core elders might kill their companions by themselves. Indeed, it's impressive. The illusion formed by the power of dream region doesn't directly attack the enemy's soul. Rather, it affects the enemy's 5 senses, manipulates them, causing them to lose their sense of illusion and reality. Unknowingly, they fall into the illusion. Even if they carry treasures that defend the soul, it's useless. Unless they've practiced pinnacle pupil skill, there's the possibility of seeing through the dream region. Regrettably, it's not so easy to succeed in practicing pinnacle pupil skill. At least, none of these 5 elite golden core elders has practiced pupil skill that can see through illusions. Lin Yazu nodded in agreement. If she were to encounter such a soul secret art, she would be helpless too. It literally has no solution. Apparently, when this ability is activated, it leaves almost no trace. You are drawn into it unknowingly. Regardless of the abundant battle experience of the Red Blood Elder and others who are golden core masters. Who would engage in a direct fight with you? Naturally, the soul secret art is used to ambush you. Haha, die for me. With a ferocious laugh, the Red Blood Elder manipulated his top-grade magic treasure, the 9 Dragon Flame Mirror. 9 flame dragons converged and formed a terrifying fire spear, instantly hitting his opponent. With a thud, the fire spear pierced through the body of his foe, blood flowing everywhere. How is this possible? The Red Blood Elder's eyes widened when, at that moment, he shockingly discovered the one lying on the ground was not Sect Master Lang Yuexi of the Immortal Mist Sect, but his own companion, the Golden Serpent Master. The Golden Serpent Master was lying on the sea surface, a fire spear penetrating his body. Blood flowed out as if it was free, his enlarged eyes seemingly protesting against the injustice of his death. It was as if he couldn't believe that he hadn't died fighting against the enemy, but at the hands of his own companion. Stop, stop all your attacks. We've been caught in an illusion, trapped in an illusionary world. The Red Blood Elder roared furiously. He wasn't a fool, he knew he had fallen for the illusion. The person he was fighting against was not the 3 Golden Core Masters of Immortal Mist City, but his companion the Golden Serpent Master. Moreover, he had personally killed the Golden Serpent Master, losing an important general. He was enraged, almost on the verge of tearing something apart. Haha, die Green Bull Master of the King Mu Sect. But his warning was already too late. The Green Bull Master seemed to have finally found the enemy's weakness. Manipulating the Devil Vine Ring, the top-grade magic treasure, a ferocious black vine transformed into a flash of light, silent and swift. With a thud, the foe in front of him was instantly pierced by the black vine, leaving a large hole in his chest. Blood gushing out and staining the sea. Wait, you're not the King Mu Sect Master, you're the Purple Feather Master. How can this be? The one I was fighting was actually the Purple Feather Master. Green Bull Master was stunned as he saw Purple Feather Master lying in the pool of blood, eyes wide open, evidently not believing he was killed by the Green Bull Master. Haha, sect leader of the Danding faction, I have finally found your weakness. Die for me. But at that moment, while Green Bull Master was stunned, the Ice Ape Elder seemed to have found Green Bull Master's weakness, and completely took him as the sect leader of the Danding faction, Shen Baiqian. Wielding the top-grade magic treasure, the Ice and Snow Scepter, his body burst with a terrifying icy power, forming a huge ice spear. With a speed surpassing several times the speed of sound, it struck towards the Green Bull Master. Boom! Green Bull Master was taken unawares and instantly was pierced by the white ice spear. Severe pain spread throughout his body, blood flowed freely. His eyes exhibited a shocked expression, disbelievingly looking at the Ice Ape Elder in front of him. It seemed at this moment he somewhat understood the shock Purple Feather Master felt before dying. Honestly, it was acceptable to die at the hands of the enemy, but dying at the hands of an ally, nothing could be more frustrating. But now there was nothing he could do, feeling the life force within himself rapidly depleting. Thud! His body fell from midair and landed heavily on the surface of the sea, immediately causing a huge splash. At this point, Green Bull Master, Purple Feather Master, and Golden Serpent Master were all dead. On the surface of the sea floated the bodies of the 3 Golden Core Masters, covered in blood. At this moment, the Red Blood Elder and Ice Ape Elder both finally realized, seeing their bloody hands, they knew what had happened. They had fallen for the enemy's illusion, taking their companions to be the enemy, and killed them all. Now out of the 5 Golden Core Masters, only 2 remained. Even the enemy didn't need to raise their hand, just quietly watching from the shadows. Chapter 288. 5 Nascent Soul Spiritual Objects, Big Harvest 2. Such tactics are absolutely chilling. Despicable Immortal Mist City. They actually resorted to using illusionary techniques to launch a sneak attack on us. If you have any decency, don't use illusions. Fight us fair and square. Qi Shui the old monster was both shocked and furious. He was filled with regret now. If he had known that these 3 foreign Golden Core sects were so terrifying, he would not have provoked them even if he was threatened with death. But it was too late for regrets now. After dominating these seas for hundreds of years, he finally hit a brick wall. Okay, so be it, then. At this time, a voice emanated from nowhere, in particular in the void. Boom! Immediately, the power of the 3rd class, high-grade mist yin-yang formation exploded, gathering countless strands of nature's spiritual energy together to form terrifying beams of mist divine light, each containing unmatched power. Each beam of mist divine light was as powerful as a strike from a golden core. Damn you, you rascal! You resort to unfair tactics, actually using a 3rd order formation. Witnessing this, Qi Shui the old monster turned green with envy. What he meant by a fair contest was a one-on-one skirmish, not activating a 3rd class, high-grade formation. Such a method, which could borrow the energies of nature and the power of 3rd order spirit veins, wasn't this bullying? But for Zhou Sui, a 3rd order array master, using the power of a 3rd order formation was simply a matter of course. If he could utilize a formation to bully others, who would agree to a one-on-one duel with him? That would be a foolish thing to do. Suddenly, the mist divine light beams rained down like a shower. 9 Dragon Flame Mirror. Sensing life-threatening danger, Qi Shui the old monster roared, leveraging his golden core cultivation power to control the high-grade magical instrument, 9 Dragon Flame Mirror, and summoned fire dragons to counter the descending mist divine light beams. Regrettably, he had expended too much of his mana in the previous battle. As his weary old power was fading, and his new strength hadn't been replenished, how could he possibly withstand so many beams of mist divine light? No defense was perfect. Thump! Several beams of mist divine light penetrated layers of defenses, smashing into Qi Shui the old monster like divine retribution, and instantly causing terrifying destruction, tearing everything apart. Ah! Qi Shui the old monster released a ghastly scream as his body was pierced through and split in half, rendering his defensive items useless. Instantly, his body fell from mid-air, crashing heavily into the sea. No, no, no! The old ice ape monster met the same fate. His strength wasn't as great as Qi Shui's, so he fell under the attack of the mist divine light even more quickly, without even the strength to fight back. In just an instant, his body was speared through by dozens of mist divine light beams, becoming riddled with holes like a beehive, as blood continuously flowed out. Then, his body too fell from mid-air, crashing heavily into the sea, showing no signs of life. All 5 Golden Core Masters were thus exterminated. Not a single one was left alive. My lord, you are truly splendid. Lang Yuexi looked at Zhou Sui next to her, her face filled with admiration. Truth be told, when she heard about the incoming attack by the 5 golden core masters, she thought that the immortal mist city might suffer severe damage this time. But who could have expected that without any of them lifting a finger, her lord would eliminate the 5 golden core old monsters easily using merely a soul secret art and a third order formation. They didn't even meet these golden core old monsters face to face, but were able to kill them without a trace. This strength was simply earth-shattering. It was important to know that her lord was still only in the foundation establishment phase, not yet a golden core cultivator. If word of this got out, it would definitely shock the entire Kanglan Sea region. A third order array master is indeed as formidable as said. Lin Yazue was also incredibly astonished. While she had heard that array masters could challenge those of a higher level, the world of cultivation had one iron rule: never fight with an array master within an array, or death would follow. But prior to this, there weren't many notable array masters on Immortal Mist Island. So, she didn't know how powerful real array masters were. Now, even though her lord was simply a foundation establishment cultivator, he played the 5 golden core old monsters like puppets. He had killed them without breaking a sweat. From this, one could imagine the strength of a third order array master. Although the art of formations ranked last among the 4 arts of cultivation, when it came to combat power, it ranked first. However, there were very few people who cultivated the art of formations. My lord! Shen Baiqian was very excited, ready to collect the storage bags left by these golden core old monsters. After all, for a golden core old monster like this one, his storage bag must contain a lot of treasure. They could take this opportunity to make a fortune. Don't rush. Just in case, let's turn them to ashes first. Zhou Sui waved his hand, preventing Shen Baiqian from going forward. This. Hearing this, Lang Yuexi, Shen Baiqian, and Lin Yazue blinked. They all saw that the bodies of these 5 golden core masters were riddled with holes, and they probably were dead by now. Yet their lord was still so cautious, fearing that the enemies might be playing dead. One could only say that their lord was truly a grand master of utmost caution, making any attempts to sneak attack him a pipe dream. Roar! In an instant, Zhou Sui once more manipulated the mist yin-yang formation, releasing more beams of mist divine light, attacking the corpses of these 5 golden core old monsters, causing terrific destruction. Chapter 289 5 Nascent Soul Spiritual Objects, Big Harvest _3. In just a breath of time, the bodies of 5 golden core old freaks were reduced to ashes, leaving not even a trace behind. Not bad, they really are dead. Seeing this, Zhou Sui was quite satisfied. They were reduced to ashes, they must be dead beyond resurrection. Of course, he also took the opportunity to use the power of the Dream Soul Goo to devour the memories of these 5 golden core masters' souls. A large amount of memory was immediately devoured by the Dream Soul Goo. He also obtained a great deal of information. So that's it, these old fellows attacked Immortal Mist City in order to obtain spirit stones of nascent soul grade spiritual objects. After all, the price of a single nascent soul grade spiritual object is quite high, even as veteran core formation masters they can't afford it. Most importantly, they all want to form their nascent souls as soon as possible, to be able to cope with the tide of beasts a few years from now. This beast tide will be unlike any before it, and could last for decades, or even hundreds of years. This is due to the birth of several nascent soul monster kings among the Sea clan, which greatly increased their strength. They want to reclaim their lost territory. Zhou Sui's pupils contracted. He never expected that such a situation was about to break out in the Kanglan Sea, an unprecedented tide of beasts. This is a war between the human clan and the Sea clan. It could be said that this war has been going on in the Kanglan Sea area for tens of thousands of years. Almost every once in a while, a great war between the human clan and the Sea clan breaks out. The nascent soul monster kings would drive countless beasts and sea monsters from the depths of the ocean, constantly bombarding every island in the Kanglan Sea, devouring all human beings wherever they went, forming an unprecedented tide of beasts. If they can withstand it, they can survive. If they can't withstand it, they will be annihilated. In order to survive on the battlefield, you need to be at least in the nascent soul realm. Even golden core masters are like cannon fodder in such battles and are not worth mentioning. Of course, more importantly, once a war breaks out, the prices of talismans, pills, magical weapons and other cultivation materials will rise rapidly. By then, you may need several times the current price to buy the same resources. Precisely because of this, the blood-fiend old monsters and others wanted to take advantage of the fact that the war had not yet broken out to hoard resources early and buy up nascent soul-grade spiritual materials. Unfortunately, they underestimated the immortal Mist City, and as a result, they were killed here. The Sea Clan is invading, hey! It seems that I indeed need to advance to the Golden Core realm as soon as possible. Otherwise, when the Sea Clan unleashes a war, no matter where in the Kanglan Sea, trouble will be inevitable. I must enhance my cultivation as soon as possible so that even when there is a large-scale invasion of beasts, I can still deal with it easily. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes, and a sense of urgency rose in his heart. Initially, he thought he could cultivate in a relaxed manner. But who would have thought that he would encounter a once-in-a-thousand-year beast tide? If he doesn't improve his strength, there will be nowhere to hide. At this moment, Lang Yuexi, Lin Yazu, and Shen Baiqian surrounded him. They also picked up the 5 storage bag left by the blood-fiend old freaks, casually disabled the prohibition array on them, and started excitedly checking the treasures inside. It's no surprise they are renowned criminals. There is so much treasure stored in their storage bags. There are 150,000 top-grade spirit stones alone. How many cultivators have they robbed and killed to accumulate so many treasures? Lang Yuexi took in a sharp breath. She didn't expect to find so many top-grade spirit stones from the storage bag of the blood-fiend monsters. It was like becoming rich overnight. The blood-fiend old freaks wanted to rob the immortal Mist City, unbeknownst their own treasures were left behind instead. Such a large number of top-grade spirit stones would take immortal Mist City numerous years to earn. It can only be said that the Golden Core Masters of the Wuji Alliance in this sea area are too wealthy. Their resources are countless times richer than those of the immortal Mist Island. It is estimated that these storage bags contain all their life's wealth. After all, they are the criminals wanted by the Wuji Alliance, criminals on the wanted list without a home base. So of course, they carry all their treasures with them. This way, even if they are pursued, they can still run away with all their belongings without loss. Lin Yazue spoke solemnly. She was also amazed, because inside the storage bags there were not only a large number of spirit stones, but also countless third-stage materials and third-stage spiritual medicines, which were extremely valuable. The kind that even a wealthy person can't necessarily buy. But now all these are available to them for free. Wait, isn't this a nascent soul-grade spiritual medicine? There is actually a nascent soul-grade spiritual medicine on each of these golden core old monsters. Shen Baiqian's eyes suddenly lit up, she was extremely excited. She was not interested in the countless spirit stones, materials, etc. After all, these things are easy to get. Only the nascent soul-grade spiritual medicine is truly scarce. It's a strategic resource, a treasure that can't be bought even at auctions. Unless you become a key member of a nascent soul power, it's virtually impossible to buy it. After all, there are so many golden core masters within the nascent soul powers like the Wuji Alliance, almost everyone wants to get the nascent soul-grade spiritual medicine, so how can they sell it? But right now, she had actually found 5 nascent soul-grade spiritual medicines on these golden core old monsters. That was like a pie falling from the sky. Chapter 290. 5 nascent soul spiritual objects, Big Harvest _4. If other golden core masters knew they had 5 nascent soul spiritual medicines, they would probably swarm them. Obviously, the likes of the old blood monster were very cautious in their actions. They naturally understood the value of the nascent soul spiritual medicine. Therefore, even if they got the nascent soul spiritual medicine, they wouldn't make a big fuss about it, they would just quietly make a lot of money. As a result, no one knew they had nascent soul spiritual medicine. However, these nascent soul spiritual medicines had now fallen into the hands of Zhou Sui and others. They truly are a bunch of fortune-handing boys. We must thank the old blood monster and his group for coming so willingly to their death. With these nascent soul spiritual medicines, your chances of successfully forming nascent souls will greatly increase. Zhou Sui said with a faint smile. If you add the nascent soul spiritual medicine obtained from the elder of the Yu family, there are now a total of 6 nascent soul spiritual medicines. He only has 5 companions in his path. So it's completely enough for them to form nascent souls. Thank you, husband. Without you, how could we possibly get the nascent soul spiritual medicine so easily? Shen Baiqian was excited. Honestly speaking, she had been in the late golden core stage for more than a decade, and with the help of various pills, her cultivation skyrocketed, and she was now close to achieving golden core completion. It could be said that she was almost ready to consider forming a nascent soul. The same was true for Lang Yuexi, who had entered the early stage of Golden Core many years ago, and was predicted to enter the intermediate stage of the Golden Core in 1 or 2 years, not far from the late Golden Core stage. So considering the issue of forming a nascent soul now wasn't too early. As for Lin Yazhu, she was already fully prepared to form a nascent soul. She even got a nascent soul spiritual medicine, the 1000-year moonlight grass. Is that so? Just that wouldn't be sincere. Zhou Sui stroked his chin, looking at Shen Baiqian, whose figure was becoming more and more sultry over time. As her cultivation level increased, Shen Baiqian seemed to become more and more charming. Husband, Immortal Mist City has collected the basic dual cultivators manuals of the demonic path recently. Shen Baiqian chuckled. Cough cough, all right, what are you talking about in such a public place? Aren't you ashamed? We have been inside the array for a long time. If we don't go out soon, the cultivators outside may think we're dead. Lin Yazhu said angrily, her pretty face flushed. These two shameless guys, such things could only be said in the boudoir, chatting here, don't they know walls have ears? Exactly. Lang Yuexi also flushed, although she and Zhou Sui were an old married couple, but she was still somewhat shy, not like Shen Baiqian, who was like a woman from the demonic path. All right. This really isn't a place to talk. We'll deal with this matter when we get back. Zhou Sui agreed. With a roar, he waved his big hand, and the array barrier that originally enveloped the entire Immortal Mist City disappeared instantly. The sea area surrounded by endless colorful clouds, also returned to its original state. Everything seemed to have returned to its previous calm, as if nothing had happened. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. At this moment, the Foundation Establishment elders from the three great sects, Immortal Mist Sect, Danding Faction, and the King Mu Sect, all quickly flew out from inside the city, and arrived outside, beside Lang Yuexi and others. Sect Master, is everything over? Looking at the unharmed Lang Yuexi and others, the many Foundation Establishment elders were much more relieved. They had some idea of the outcome, but to be safe, they still asked subconsciously. Yes, it's over. The 5 Golden Core Masters, including the old blood monster who came this time, have all been killed. Lin Yazhu said in a deep voice. What? At this, the faces of the many Foundation Establishment elders displayed immense joy. This was undoubtedly the best result, that the 5 Golden Core Masters had been killed. How powerful was that? They had heard about the old blood monster and his group. They had wreaked havoc across the Wuji Alliance's waters for hundreds of years, but now they had been killed by their sect master. While this was achieved with the help of the 7th Order formation, it was still enough to prove the strength of their sect master. Even if 5 Golden Core Masters attacked, they were marching on a path to certain death. Chapter 291. 30 Years of Foundation Establishment, Advancement to Core Formation Stage _1. In no time, news of the killing of the notorious Red Blood Old Ghost and 4 other Golden Core cultivators reverberated swiftly through Immortal Mist City. The inhabitants of Immortal Mist City were taken aback. The Foundation building cultivators in particular knew all too well what this outcome signified. Impossible. That was the Red Blood Old Ghost. How could he meet such a brutal end in Immortal Mist City? How did this come to pass? An astonished Foundation building cultivator found it hard to believe. Born in the Wuji Alliance's maritime domain, he was acutely aware of the formidable reputation of Red Blood Old Ghost. He was a terrifying cultivator, capable of silencing a crying child with his notoriety alone. He even made the Wuji Alliance's wanted list. Famed in dogged pursuit, that very name dwindled the spirit of countless cultivators. The death toll at his hands was simply incalculable. But now, the Red Blood Old Ghost had met a bloody end in Immortal Mist City. The truth would probably raise skepticism if spread out. Yet it had indeed unfolded before their very eyes. It's not just the Red Blood Old Ghost, but also the Ice Monkey Old Ghost, Green Bull Master, Purple Feather Master, Yellow Snake Master, and others who were all Golden Core completion cultivators. But now they are all dead in the hands of those 3 Golden Core female cultivators. Another Foundation building cultivator stated soberly, he knew that the Red Blood Old Ghost and the 5 Golden Core Masters were all infamous figures, each with a potentially promising future of becoming a nascent soul ancestor. But they died brutally at the hands of the Golden Core Masters within Immortal Mist City. Undoubtedly, the news would certainly send ripples throughout the Wuji Alliance. It would also make a name for Immortal Mist City. How did they manage to do that? 1. I did see the red blood old ghost and his gang carrying the third stage prohibition breaking talisman. Did that not work against Immortal Mist City? Yet another foundation building cultivator was left puzzled. He had initially planned to take advantage of the chaos and rob Immortal Mist City for a big fortune. But alas, the opportunity never came to pass. Before the chaos could fully unfurl, the red blood old ghost and his squad were executed on the spot. Looking back, he was now relieved he hadn't acted rashly. Otherwise, he would certainly have been killed by the cultivators of Immortal Mist City, with not even a complete corpse left. This was a stroke of luck, in retrospect. It's said that Immortal Mist City houses a third-stage array master. Leveraging the powers of the third-stage array master, even a third-stage prohibition-breaking talisman couldn't breach the third-order formation here. As such, the red blood old ghost and his company had fallen right into the city's trap. With the power of the third-order formation and 3 golden core masters, they ensured the red blood old ghost and his associates were trapped with no way out. Who would have thought golden core sects from these remote islands could be this powerful? They first executed the 3 Wu clan owls, and they've now slain the red blood old ghost and his gang. Such brutality! It only shows that Immortal Mist City's rise is unstoppable, unless a nascent soul ancestor decides to take personal action, otherwise, nobody can do anything about it. The cultivators were all discussing fervently. They soon realized that a formidable golden core power seemed poised to rise within the Wuji alliance, and from then on, Immortal Mist City would undeniably hold a seat of strength in the alliance. Many golden core families, golden core cultivators would probably retreat 3 steps when encountering Immortal Mist City. After all, no one would want to meet their end within the city's formation. Even if they didn't expand the power of Immortal Mist City, they would certainly have no problem protecting themselves. A few days later, the news of the death of the red blood old ghost and other golden core masters had naturally reached and been acknowledged by the higher echelons of the Wuji alliance, the golden core factions and even several nascent soul ancestors. After all, the red blood old ghost and his fellows were famed, once recognized as having the potential to ascend to nascent soul status. But now they had died terribly in Immortal Mist City, naturally drawing much attention. At the heart of Wuji Island lay a luxurious palace known as the Limitless Palace. The palace was also where the Wuji Alliance's headquarters was located. Numerous nascent soul ancestors practiced cultivation in the surrounding mountain ranges, given that this area was the source of the 4th stage high-quality spirit vein whose richness in spiritual energy surpassed the imagination of the outside world. At this moment, several nascent soul ancestors gathered, convening a meeting. Well, red blood old ghost died. I thought he had some semblance of good fortune and might one day ascend to nascent soul status. I wouldn't have thought he would edge towards a grim end at the hands of some female golden core cultivators. A nascent soul ancestor laughed, treating the proceedings as an amusing story. He initially had high hopes on red blood old ghost, assuming he did manage to achieve nascent soul status, all his past misdeeds would be forgotten, and the Wuji alliance would even revoke his arrest warrant. But now, with red blood old ghost's death, this certainly strayed beyond his expectations. Just a smidgen of spiritual fortune, that's all. To become a nascent soul ancestor, one must possess great spiritual fortune. Even cultivators possessing a heavenly spirit root can't claim with certainty that they can achieve a 100% success rate in becoming a nascent soul. If they fail to pass the heart devil tribulation, they'll still face obliteration. Another nascent soul ancestor said lazily. Having gone through it himself, he knew all too well how difficult it was to become a nascent soul cultivator. As a heavenly spirit root cultivator, overcoming the mana phase was definitely not a problem. But the problem was crossing the heart devil phase. Hardly any external force could be of help here, even the nascent soul materials that could help overcome the heart devil tribulation were extremely scarce, one could only rely on oneself. An unknown number of heavenly spirit root golden core cultivators fell at this phase, devoured by the heart demon. It could be said that to become a nascent soul cultivator, both one's talent and will must reach a supreme level. Chapter 292. 30 years of foundation establishment, advancement to core formation stage 2. Any weakness could lead to a failed nascent soul. Let it be, it's only a minor issue. For our Wuji alliance, the impending beast tide in a few years is the real concern. The Sea clan is serious this time, having birthed a few demon kings of the nascent soul late stage, their ambitions are beginning to flare. This beast tide might be the biggest of the millennium. It is likely to affect most of the islands in the Kanglan Sea. If we're not careful, the Wuji alliance's foundations could be ruined. At this moment, Deist Unlimited, the alliance hierarch of the Wuji Alliance, spoke up, sweeping his gaze across the various nascent soul ancestors present. As a cultivator who achieved the nascent soul's perfection, and the most powerful figure within the Wuji Alliance, he possessed an extraordinary aura. The moment he began to speak, the surrounding nascent soul ancestors perked up their ears to listen. Father! How about the nascent soul forces of the Tianjian sect, Suanbao Tower, Sunset sect, Piao Miao Palace? What are their thoughts? Don't they have any plans to collectively respond to the Sea Clan's attack? Master Peach Blossom asked, looking at her father, Deist Unlimited. Her voice resembled the melody of a songbird, pleasant and moving, as if it emanated a faint Deist rhythm. Even the surrounding nascent soul ancestors had their hearts moved involuntarily. An endless fragrance wafted from her body, stirring the hearts of others as if in a sea of flowers. Unfortunately, neither Master Peach Blossom's powers nor her prestige were something other cultivators could covet. She was the most beautiful woman in the Wuji Alliance and also a flower that nobody could pick. There are no plans. Though they are nascent soul powers belonging to the human clan and have decent relations with each other, they do not have plans to aid us. After all, the Kanglan Sea is so vast. Merely defending their territories is already a daunting task. Thus, as of now, we can only rely on ourselves in facing this beast tide. However, the real concern is the potential trouble stirred up by the Sky Demon sect, Xianyan sect, and Haisha Palace. Listening to his daughter's question, Deist Unlimited's attitude was quite amiable. After all, his daughter had always been an honor to him. Not only did she possess heavenly spirit root aptitude, but she also had a unique physique. Therefore, advancing to nascent soul cultivator stage was unhindered. Perhaps, she might even surpass him in the future. Unfortunately, his daughter looked down on many male cultivators due to her high spirits and lofty pride. She had yet to find a Deist companion up until now. He had once introduced her to some talented young men, but to no avail. By now, he had given up. As long as his daughter was happy, everything was fine. Really? Although they belong to the human clan too, can they really consider helping the Sea clan? Master Peach Blossom frowned. Humph, the people of the demonic path are all selfish. They have no understanding of a clan's grand justice. They would rather betray all the people in the world than let the people of the world betray them. If there is a chance of advancing their cultivation, these demon cultivators won't hesitate to stab the human clan in the back. Thus, everyone should pursue these people and execute them. Deist Unlimited snorted coldly. His aura was terrifying, instantly filling the entire room as if forming a nascent soul's Deist domain that exerted an overwhelming pressure. The assembled nascent soul ancestors were all shivering in fear. This was the terrifying power of the hierarch of the Wuji Alliance, a grand cultivator who had achieved the nascent soul's perfection and the most likely candidate for a divinity transformation. If the beast tide comes, the peripheral islands of the Wuji Alliance would most likely be affected. At this moment, Master Peach Blossom recalled the 3 female golden core cultivators she wanted to recruit, who seemed to be situated on these peripheral islands. This time, they had gained significant prestige from killing the likes of the old monster, the bloody crustacean, and others. They demonstrated their power, leaving a deep impression on all levels of the Wuji Alliance. One could say that this sufficiently proved her vision. However, it was unfortunate that those 3 female cultivators had not been willing to accept her recruitment. It's an unfortunate necessity. Currently, the Wuji Alliance's power can only protect several core islands. As for the peripheral islands, they can only rely on themselves. Deist Unlimited shook his head, indicating that he had no solution. After all, the Wuji Alliance's power was not unlimited, and the number of cultivators was finite. Facing the immense beast tide, they could only consolidate their defenses, abandoning some unimportant islands. Yes, father. Master Peach Blossom nodded. She understood the current predicament of the Wuji Alliance. All right, you may leave. This time, the Wuji Alliance will consolidate its defense lines to face the once-in-a-millennium beast tide. We must block the invasion of the Sea clan. Deist Unlimited said in a deep voice. Yes, Alliance Hierarch. All the nascent soul ancestors nodded. Ever since the killing of the bloody crustacean and other golden core masters, Immortal Mist City had garnered significant attention. Even cultivators from the most remote islands of the Wuji Alliance had started to hear news of Immortal Mist City. In addition to the allure of second-stage spiritual wine and premium foundation pills, a large number of cultivators began flooding into Immortal Mist City. Naturally, they also brought with them a plethora of spiritual medicine, pills, magic artifacts, spiritual materials, and more. This led to an increasing prosperity in Immortal Mist City. However, this prosperity led to a decline in trade in the nearby cities. After all, cultivators were the most important resource. Where the people are, wealth follows. But those golden core families could do nothing about it. Because the power of Immortal Mist City was no longer something they could compete against. They could only stand by helplessly as Immortal Mist City grew and prospered, absorbing vast amounts of spirit stones. Chapter 293. 30 Years of Foundation. Establishment, Advancement to Core Formation Stage 3. Meanwhile, Zhou Sui was living a shameless and tranquil dual cultivation lifestyle with his wives and concubines within the Immortal Mist Peak. As his cultivation level increased, his reciprocation to the three women Ji Binjiu, Xia Jinjian, and Mu Ziyi also increased considerably. During the Qi cultivation stage, they were of great assistance to Zhou Sui. But after advancing to the foundation establishment realm, Zhou Sui was the one who helped Ji Binjiu and the other companions improve their cultivation levels. He could even enhance their spiritual root aptitude, albeit at a slower pace. Their cultivation wasn't simply improved to the middle phase of the foundation establishment realm, but it also made significant progress. Of course, the most significant improvement was by Lang Yuexi. After once more dual cultivating, Lang Yuexi also finally made a breakthrough and advanced to the middle phase of golden core formation. For golden core cultivators, this can be considered an enormous breakthrough. After all, ordinary golden core cultivators might be stuck at this bottleneck for hundreds, even 200 years. However, for Lang Yuexi, it was a mere decade or two of cultivation, yet she managed to advance to the middle phase of golden core formation. This could be considered a rapid progression. If she continues her cultivation this way, maybe even before she reaches 200 years old, she could advance to the late phase of golden core formation. As for Lin Yazhu and Shen Baiqian, they were continuing their refinement at the late golden core stage. Meanwhile, Zhou Sui's cultivation level was also steadily improving. Especially after the advancement of his companion's cultivation, the effect of each dual cultivation session was extremely significant. This allowed the mana within his body to solidify at an accelerating pace. Not bad at all. Generally speaking, for an ordinary cultivator at the peak of foundation establishment, it's extremely difficult to increase the viscosity of the mana in their Danshan Qi Si to the point of solidification. This is the most critical and difficult step. Unless they take a core formation spiritual medicine with the accompaniment of a core formation spiritual medicine, it is possible to cross this step. But I don't need to do this, I've already passed the most critical step. Now, it depends on to what extent the mana within my body can solidify. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes, inspecting his Danshan Qi Si through inner sight. He could sense that there were 1,000 drops of mana liquid within his Danshan Qi Si. The peak foundation establishment cultivators with heavenly spirit root only possessed 360 drops of mana liquid, and that already signified a state of perfection. But he had a full 1,000 drops of mana. This was enough to validate his profound foundation, which was simply beyond imagination. Of course, this meant that the golden core he condenses would naturally be even stronger. At this moment, 2/10 of the liquid mana within his body had solidified. From afar, these collections of mana looked like a large, dark golden pill. It was just in a liquid state. Even if he wished to, he could commence the core formation process immediately. However, he wasn't that foolish. For something like core formation, it's better to let it occur naturally. After the mana is solidified to its limit, then starting core formation, the probability of success would be higher. Another few years, and I should be able to attempt core formation. Zhou Sui was in a cheerful mood. 4 years later. That is, when Zhou Sui was 54 years old, and 30 years since he began foundation establishment. At this moment, he was blessed and sensed that the time for his core formation had arrived. So, after giving instructions to his companions, he entered his cave residence and started his closed-door core formation. With the 7th order formation and his companions guarding the surroundings, he wasn't worried about anyone disturbing his core formation. The mana within my Danshan Qi Si is now 99% solid. Zhou Sui sat cross-legged on the ground, his divine sense sensed the conditions within his Danshan Qi Si. After 4 years of painstaking cultivation, the solidification of his Danshan Qi Si's mana reached 99%, which was essentially the limit, and could not be further progressed. If it advanced further, the core formation should commence. This was already an extraordinary scene. Ordinary peak foundation establishment cultivators, even if they consumed core formation spiritual medicines, their mana would only solidify about 30% at the start. But now, without any core formation spiritual medicines, he surprisingly surpassed 99%. This was already reaching the limit of core formation. It can be said that he simply could not control it anymore. Just like when a flood was about to break the levee, regardless of any measures taken, everything would be in vain. 30 years of foundation establishment, and now it's finally time for core formation. Let's get started. Zhou Sui's eyes flashed with a terrifying radiance. Even though he had a third-stage pill like the golden liquid jade return pill, he had sufficient confidence in self-initiating core formation. This confidence wasn't baseless. It came from his powerful cultivation foundation and his substantial and refined mana. Rumble. In a flash, Zhou Sui activated the Insect God Sutra, with his body as the center, forming a massive vortex. The surrounding nature's spiritual energy surged toward him like a tide. You should know that the current immortal mist sex spirit vein had already reached a third-class, high-grade level. Even for late golden core cultivators, such a spirit vein was more than enough. Not to mention, it was just dealing with a mere core formation. For foundation establishment cultivators, this was an extravagantly luxurious cultivation cave dwelling. The first barrier is the mana barrier. One could say, the most important thing in this barrier is mana solidification. Only when the mana is extremely pure will it autonomously produce mana solidification. I have already passed 99% of this barrier. The past 4 years was spent crossing the first barrier. I self-initiated foundation establishment, and cultivated the supreme cultivation method, the Insect God Sutra. My mana is substantial and pure, there's no problem with this barrier. Chapter 294. 30 years of foundation establishment, advancement to core formation stage _4. So, the most crucial is the second stage, the divine sense stage. Zhou Sui's eyes radiated a horrifying glow, as if he had gained insight into every corner of his body. He could sense every bone in his body's depths, every meridian, and every blood vessel. It was as if his body had no secrets anymore at this moment. At this moment, he activated the mana within his body, beginning the final solidification of the last droplet of mana fluid. Boom! When the last droplet of mana fluid solidified, it seemed like the last piece of a puzzle had been put into place, and a dark gold sphere immediately appeared in the depths of the Danshan Qi Si. Compression, compression, continuous compression. In the end, it transformed into a dark golden speck of light. Although seemingly just a speck of light, it had incorporated 1,000 droplets of mana fluid, reaching the utmost density, containing enormous mana energy. It radiated endless light, like a sun, obscuring his entire body, making his entire body glow. The entire cave was flooded with light, bright as day. This was simply a blaze as bright as fire, like a blazing sun, filled with incomparable power. Once a golden core falls into one's abdomen, one's fate is determined by oneself and not by the heavens. However, Zhou Sui knew that this was merely the beginning, just the formation of the golden core seed. It was the first step of 1,000 miles and not the actual successful formation of golden core. Any negligence would result in the failure of core formation, leading to wasted effort. The second stage is the divine sense stage. This stage requires the power of divine sense to control this golden core seed. It should make this newly formed golden core particle circulate around the body, growing incrementally. If it fails, then this golden core seed will automatically collapse. Without hesitation, Zhou Sui immediately exerted the power of his divine sense to control this dark golden core seed. The moment his divine sense entered the golden core seed, he immediately felt the unimpeded divine sense as if it had entered Mercury, with massive resistance all around and power constraining it. This is the power of golden core cultivation. You have to understand that the power of foundation establishment and golden core cultivation are different levels altogether. The former is like tofu while the latter is like a stone. The divine sense of a foundation establishment cultivator can manipulate the power of foundation establishment but cannot control the power of golden core cultivation. It's like a 3-year-old child being unable to lift a heavy hammer. If divine sense cannot control this golden core cultivation power, the golden core seed cannot grow quickly, and the core formation will undoubtedly fail. This is why the golden liquid jade return pill is so important. After taking this pill, it not only helps foundation establishment cultivators refine their mana and remove impurities. It even temporarily increases the strength of divine sense, giving the foundation establishment cultivator divine sense equivalent to that of golden core, making manipulation of golden core cultivation power effortless. If there is no natural talent, external assistance is needed. That's the importance of pills, it helps cultivators who lack innate talent break through significant bottlenecks. Fortunately, my divine sense has long been comparable to the late golden core stage. Controlling this golden core cultivation power is easy. Zhou Sui slightly smiled, without hesitation, he intensified the power of his divine sense and erupted. Rumble. At this moment, this golden core seed was spinning continuously, like a spinning star. It also generated a vortex force, absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy of nature. And this golden core seed was growing little by little, continually growing stronger. From a seed the size of a speck of light, it had now grown to the size of a thumb. Of course, this meant that the mana power of this golden core had become even stronger. Thankfully, his divine sense strength was comparable to a cultivator in the late golden core stage, therefore, for Zhou Sui, this was nothing at all. Operating golden core cultivation power was as easy as turning over one's hand. It can be said that this is the advantage of having strong divine sense. If the strength of one's divine sense is insufficient, one will not be able to control the power of a golden core, leading to wasted effort. Time passed unknowingly. As all the liquid mana in Zhou Sui's Danshan Qi Si was absorbed, and the surrounding spiritual energy of nature was swallowed up, a dark golden core, the size of a thumb, finally took shape. Just like the sun, it radiated with endless golden light within his Danshan Qi Si. This golden core formation process did not have any ripples, it was as smooth as water flowing into a canal. Chapter 295. Core Formation Heavenly Phenomenon, Radiance Reaches Thousands of Zhong-1. Immortal Mist Sect. Pill Medicine Peak. Many pill masters of the Immortal Mist Sect are deeply engrossed in the alchemy lecture given by Ma Kyun-jun, the peak master of Pill Medicine Peak. After all, aside from Zhou Sui, Ma Kyun-jun is the most powerful pill master of the Immortal Mist Sect, who has reached the second grade top tier. If he were to advance to the Golden Core realm, he would become a third grade pill master. Otherwise, a second grade top tier pill master would be the limit. Boom! At this moment, there was a slight vibration in the entire pill medicine peak. All the pill masters were looking at each other in bewilderment, completely perplexed about what was happening, and extremely curious. Even Ma Kyun-jun stopped his lecture and involuntarily looked in the distance. However, the vibration didn't last long. Furthermore, since this was the headquarters of the Immortal Mist Sect and there were Golden Core Masters around, no one was overly concerned. What happened? 1. With a flash, Ma Kyun-jun left the Pill Medicine Peak and looked in the direction of Immortal Mist Peak. This was where the sect master and others lived, and also the source of the vibrations. Not just Ma Kyun-jun, cultivators who were at the Foundation establishment realm also flew over. Don't worry, it's just Master Zhou undergoing core formation. You all should focus on your own tasks. At this time, a voice from Divine Consciousness Transmission suddenly echoed deep into the ears of every cultivator at the Foundation establishment realm. The person who sent the message was the sect master of the Immortal Mist Sect, Lang Yuexi. What? Upon hearing these words, the faces of all the Foundation establishment elders present changed drastically. They exchanged glances, hardly believing what they heard, and looked at each other in surprise. Could it be Elder Zhou undergoing core formation? One Foundation establishment elder was simply incredulous. Besides Elder Zhou, who else has the qualifications to be addressed as master? Zhou by the sect master. Ma Kyun-jun murmured. His expression was very complex, a mixture of all sorts of emotions. Isn't it too absurd that Elder Zhou is about to begin core formation? Didn't they say Elder Zhou has a lower grade spiritual root? He has only been cultivating for some years. An elder of the Foundation establishment was dumbfounded. He knew that Zhou Sui only established his foundation at the age of 24. Until now, he had only been cultivating in the Foundation establishment realm for 30 years, and was about to start trying for core formation. Frankly, he could hardly believe such a thing. It was just too ludicrous. Yes, it's way too fast. I have been in the Foundation establishment realm for 100 years, and I haven't even reached the pinnacle of Foundation establishment yet. But now Elder Zhou is about to undergo core formation, how could he cultivate so quickly? Even if he had a Golden Core Deo companion helping him, it shouldn't be this. Ridiculous. Another Foundation establishment elder gulped, unaware of what to say next. His intestines were green with envy. Comparing oneself to others could really kill a person's spirit. Compared to Zhou Sui, he felt like his life had all gone to the dogs. Who said Elder Zhou has a lower grade spiritual root? Has anyone here tested Elder Zhou's spiritual root? Suddenly, someone posed a counter question. This. Upon hearing those words, the surrounding foundation establishment elders were stunned. In all honesty, no one present had personally tested Zhou Sui's spiritual root. They just assumed Zhou Sui, as a loose cultivator, had a lower grade spiritual root. Everyone accepted this without question, but the fact was, no one had actually verified Zhou Sui's spiritual root. After all, Zhou Sui's induction into the sect was irregular. Other members had to pass an entrance examination to enter the immortal mist sect. But this kid, he became the sect master's Dao companion just like that, rising quickly beyond the heavens. Who dare test him? See? We previously didn't know Elder Zhou's spiritual root grade. We only thought that since he was a loose cultivator, Elder Zhou must have a lower grade spiritual root. But in reality, Elder Zhou's aptitude may be beyond imagination. I believe Elder Zhou is not only a cultivator with an upper grade spiritual root, he might even have a heavenly spiritual root. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible for him to progress so quickly. An foundation establishment elder emotionally said. He believed that this could be the only explanation for Zhou Sui's cultivation speed. This must be a cultivator with a heavenly spiritual root. Indeed, very likely. Think about it, let alone Elder Zhou's spiritual root's grade. Just consider his skills as a pill master, he has already reached the 3rd grade realm. Which foundation establishment cultivator can become a 3rd grade pill master? To my knowledge, even the Wuji Alliance doesn't have such a person. Right? Not only is Elder Zhou a 3rd grade pill master, he has also reached 3rd grade competency in formations. The last time the red-blooded old monster and others invaded, if Elder Zhou hadn't manned the formation, our immortal mist city would have been doomed. It seems Elder Zhou is truly an unprecedented genius. Truth be told, it's purely talent. It's not something that can be piled up with resources. Indeed, even the Wuji Alliance has many nascent soul descendants who have received far more resources than Elder Zhou, yet none of them can match him. Let's not talk about others, even just in the aspect of formations, an art entirely dependent on comprehension. If one lacks understanding, no amount of resources would be of use. High resources can only enhance cultivation at best, they can't improve one's comprehension of formations that much. No wonder not only Sect Master Leng, but even Shen Sect Master and Lin Sect Master are willing to be his Dao companions, willing to humble themselves. How could they simply be attracted just by Elder Zhou's appearance? Indeed, if Elder Zhou is really a cultivator with heavenly spiritual root, and considering his abilities as a pill master and an array master, he will surely be a prominent figure in the Kanglan Sea territory. It's even possible for him to become a nascent soul ancestor. Chapter 296. Core Formation Heavenly Phenomenon, Radiance reaches thousands of Zhang_2. To have achieved core formation at only 54 years old, it is indeed not surprising that he might become a nascent soul ancestor in the future. In the past, Sect Master Leng was hailed as the most talented in the Immortal Mist sect for a millennium when he achieved the core formation in his 80s, but now Elder Zhou has achieved this feat at 54, a truly unprecedented achievement. If Elder Zhou successfully forms the nascent soul in the future, our Immortal Mist sect might once again manifest the prestige of a nascent soul sect, as it did 3,000 years ago. The Foundation establishment elders were engaged in a heated debate. They were all beginning to get excited. For them, they had long fully accepted the existence of Zhou Sui. The stronger Zhou Sui became, the greater their benefit would naturally be. After all, it's good to take shelter under a big tree. If Zhou Sui really becomes a nascent soul ancestor in the future, then they all might rise to heaven with him. Elder Zhou, you are indeed a rare genius. The Peak Master of Pill Medicine Peak, Ma Yunjun, was very emotional. He remembered the first time he met Zhou Sui, originally thinking that this young man was nothing more than a pretty boy who was relying on flattering the sect master and climbing up the ranks thanks to a woman. However, as time passed, this young man gradually demonstrated his innate talents as a pill master and a master of formations, which even an old pill master like himself had to acknowledge. Leaving aside his spiritual root aptitude, such skills alone could grant him a secure position in any sect. And now, he was even starting the core formation. His cultivation was about to completely surpass an old predecessor like himself. He had felt envy in the past, but now even that was gone. Under the circumstance of such a huge disparity, not even emotions of jealousy could arise, only profound admiration was left. At this time, Ji Binjiu, Mu Ziyi, Xia Jinjian, Lang Yuexi, Lin Yazu, and Shen Baiqian were all waiting outside the cave dwelling on Immortal Mist Peak, feeling a bit anxious. They were also very concerned about Zhou Sui's core formation this time. Because this time, it wasn't just the core formation for Zhou Sui, but a self-initiated core formation. They didn't know how many times the risk would increase by doing so. They couldn't believe that their husband could make such a decision. I wonder if our husband can succeed in the core formation this time. Xia Jinjian's face was filled with worry. Don't worry, there certainly won't be a problem. You all know our husband's character. Would he attempt self-initiated core formation if he weren't absolutely sure it could succeed? Besides, he does possess the golden liquid jade return pill. Even if there were any accidents, there would still be an opportunity for remedy. Lang Yuexi stated gravely. Indeed, that's true. Our husband wouldn't do anything he isn't sure about. Ji Binjiu and Mu Ziyi also wholeheartedly agreed on this point. Honestly, no one was more cautious than their husband. They couldn't imagine what risky things their husband would do. If he dared to do this, it meant there wasn't much risk. It's also our husband's choice. If he can successfully achieve self-initiated core formation, the probability of his future nascent soul formation will increase significantly. Always one step ahead. Shen Baiqian sighed with emotion. She of course knew that self-initiated core formation could significantly increase the chance of nascent soul formation, but the success rate of self-initiated core formation was too low. Even though she possessed the first-grade spirit root, she had barely managed to achieve core formation by using assisting core formation spiritual materials in the past. If there were no assisting spiritual materials for core formation, she would likely have failed. It goes without saying, those truly capable of self-initiated core formation were 1 in a million. Even heavenly spirit root cultivators, for the sake of mitigating risk, mostly used assisting core formation spiritual materials. Now we cannot do anything. All we can do is choose to believe. Most importantly, we mustn't allow anyone to disturb our husband's core formation. Lin Yazua bristled with killing intent. That's right. Lang Yuexi and the others nodded. They also guarded outside the dwelling to prevent any accidental factors from disturbing their husband's core formation process. Inside the dwelling, Zhou Sui was completely oblivious to the commotion outside. After all his energy was dedicated to the core formation, anything else was of little relevance to him. The result was exactly what he had anticipated. Thanks to his profound foundation and meticulous preparation, the core formation proceeded without a hiccup. A golden core, radiating endless golden light, had formed deep within his Danshan Qi Si. It was marked with mysterious runes, presenting a dark golden color, a sight of unrivaled nobility. However, as it had just formed, this golden core was not yet fully stable. In effect, he had already accomplished the core formation. What was left was a process akin to slow grinding, which required absorbing a massive amount of nature's spiritual energy to consolidate a powerful golden core. Of course, the deeper the foundation, the stronger the formed golden core would be. But don't think this was a surefire success. In fact, during this process, various heart demons would come into existence deep within his sea of consciousness, affecting the formation of his golden core. If he was genuinely lost to these heart demons, core formation would fail. That would result in a pseudo-pill, leading to the forfeiture of any future opportunities. Rumble. At that moment, Zhou Sui activated the Insect God Sutra, causing endless spiritual energy from heaven and earth to surge towards him, flowing into his Danshan Qi Si, where they were devoured by his golden core. The golden core was visibly growing larger, its rate of growth noticeable even to the naked eye. However, in this process, it was inevitable that some demonic qi from heaven and earth was absorbed, leading to a multitude of heart demons. Although it wasn't as terrifying as the heart demon tribulation during the nascent soul phase, it was a fatal blow for cultivators whose Deo spirit wasn't stable. Boom! Just then, an invisible force exerted by a heart demon surged towards him, instantly dragging Zhou Sui's soul into an illusion. Suddenly, Zhou Sui's vision darkened, and he found himself in an extravagantly decorated palace, surrounded by scantily clad beautiful women. Each one was seductive and enchanting, waiting to be claimed. Ordinary cultivators wouldn't have been able to withstand such a test, they would instantly fall into temptation and be unable to extricate themselves. Fake, too fake. Is this the level of a heart demon's test? Zhou Sui blinked, For other cultivators, perhaps such an illusion was very realistic, as if they were truly immersed in it. But since he had obtained the Dream Soul Goo, he had become a master of illusion techniques, capable of manipulating dreamland power. The power of the heart demon and the power of the dreamland were virtually identical. Thus, when such a heart demon illusion appeared before him, it was tantamount to child's play. Devour it! Zhou Sui commanded the Dream Soul Goo. Humming. At once, a creature appeared within the illusory heart demon world. It was a bug. For the heart demon, this was as terrifying as encountering a prehistoric behemoth. The Dream Soul Goo opened its big mouth and took a savage bite, instantly devouring a part of the heart demon's illusionary world. Ah! How could this happen? How could this cultivator harm us, the heart demons? Run, run fast! In a split second, horrifying screams echoed through the illusory world. The heart demons scattered and fled in panic. Unfortunately, it was too late. The Dream Soul Goo, having advanced to the lower realm of the third stage, was multifold stronger than before. It exerted a whirlpool-like force much like a black hole appearing. The entire heart demon illusionary world transformed into a bubble that popped, then was swallowed into its stomach. The mob of heart demons was completely devoured by the Dream Soul Goo and became its food. At that moment, the power of the Dream Soul Goo ascended exponentially. It seemed to benefit much more from feasting on the heart demons than on the souls of human cultivators. It was as if it had found a greatly nourishing food. Wait, could these heart demons be more than just unique entities born from cultivators' hearts? Could they also be unique creatures born of the outside world? Zhou Sui was filled with doubt. He was uncertain of the origin of the heart demons. However, before he had time to ponder any longer, the illusionary heart demon world collapsed instantly, and his soul returned. It was as if nothing had ever happened. This time, he had breezed through the heart demon tribulation with ease, effortlessly at that. Moreover, after devouring the heart demons, Zhou Sui experienced an inner clarity, as if a layer of dust within the depths of his heart had been swept away, allowing him to reach an understanding Dao heart state. Each removal of a heart demon represented a substantial enhancement for a cultivator. The benefits were self-evident. This time, there were no further obstacles. As Zhou Sui continued his cultivation, time flew, and 100 days went by in the blink of an eye. Chapter 297. Golden Core Law Domain, Life. Span of 5,000 years __1. Boom. On this day, Zhou Sui sat cross-legged on the ground. After 100 days of hard cultivation, the golden core deep within his Danshan Qi had grown to its ultimate extent. It was completely saturated and could no longer absorb a bit of nature's spiritual energy. Now, it transformed into a fist-sized golden core, floating in the middle of the Danshan Qi, blooming with a dark golden glow, just like a golden sun. The entire cave was filled with endless golden light, utterly brilliant. Haha, I am already a golden core master. And I have easily passed the body cultivation phase. Zhou Sui opened his eyes. He felt the powerful golden core cultivation power flowing in circles around his body, causing a dramatic transformation in his body, which was being continuously strengthened and refined. Frankly speaking, if the physical fitness is not strong enough, the body cannot withstand this powerful golden core cultivation power. Once the golden core cultivation power is in operation, the meridians within the body would shatter and die out. This is why elderly foundation building cultivators are almost unlikely to form cores successfully. Even if they happen to form a core by chance, their body won't withstand the frenzy and strength of core cultivation power. It's like a heavy truck running on a village road, destroying the road entirely. However, Zhou Sui had no such problem at all. Even before he ascended to the core formation, his physique was comparable to a golden core body cultivator, as if he harbored a dragon elephant within his body. Therefore, he could effortlessly withstand this golden core cultivation power, without any discomfort at all. Is this the golden core law domain? Indeed, it is much stronger than a foundation building cultivator. With a flicker of Zhou Sui's divine sense, emanating from the center of his body, an invisible power of the law domain spread out, covering an area of tens of miles radius. This area was instantly enveloped by the power of the law domain. It seems, with just a thought in his heart, the spiritual energy of the heavens and the earth in this area would be confined. Cultivators below the golden core realm would find it almost impossible to mobilize this spiritual energy. It could be said that when golden core cultivators faced foundation building cultivators, it was a downgrade attack. With one thought, countless foundation building cultivators could be easily crushed. Only a freak who mastered the golden core law domain in the foundation building realm could resist the power of the law domain from a golden core cultivator. The so-called golden core law domain, in a way, is just a use of divine consciousness power. The formation of the law domain is simply due to the formidable power of divine consciousness, which can control the spiritual energy around. So only a law domain can counter a law domain. To increase the power of the law domain, the power of divine consciousness must be increased. But after being promoted to the golden core realm, my divine consciousness power has increased too much. Zhou Sui was very excited. He sensed how powerful his divine consciousness was, it was simply incomparable to before. Now his divine consciousness range could cover a radius of 100 miles. Honestly, this number was quite impressive. The divine consciousness power of a nascent soul cultivator at the beginning stage was roughly this too. In other words, just in terms of divine consciousness power, he was on par with a nascent soul cultivator at the beginning stage. One can imagine the enormous benefit of his promotion to the golden core realm for his strength. It was indeed an earth-shaking improvement. The power of Dream Soul Gu does indeed counter heart demons. If that's the case, shouldn't it help Lin Yazhu overcome the heart demon challenge when she ascends to the nascent soul status? At this time, Zhou Sui stroked his chin and thought of the heart demon he encountered when he was forming his core. Don't think that he easily resolved the heart demon, that's just because he controlled the Dream Soul Gu. For the other foundation building cultivators, this test was also extremely dangerous. If they were to be deceived by their heart demons, their core formation would surely fail. Just during the process of core formation, they faced such a terrifying heart demon. What would it be like when they evolved into nascent souls? The heart demon they would face then would be exponentially more powerful than the one encountered during the process of core formation. Even heavenly spiritual root cultivators, faced with the heart devil tribulation, only had a slim chance of survival. If someone's faith wasn't strong enough, they would be devoured by their heart demon, and hundreds of years of cultivation would be wasted. After all, this had nothing to do with talent, it was entirely a matter of faith. Even cultivators with steadfast faith couldn't claim with absolute certainty that they'd survive the heart demon tribulation. However, with the assistance of the Dream Soul Gu, perhaps it could directly help oneself and one's Deo companion overcome the heart demon tribulation during the process of nascent soul formation. Because if Lin Yazhu could advance to be a nascent soul cultivator, the stability of Immortal Mist City in the Tri-Star Island group would be like Mount Tai. By that point, he wouldn't need to hide and seek, and he would have his own base in the Kanglan Sea. Of course, that was still in the future. He put these thoughts aside for a moment and began to carefully sense the changes in his body. That's right, check the data panel. Zhou Sui thought to himself, immediately checking the data panel. Host, Zhou Sui, cultivation, early stage of golden core, progress 0%, lifespan, 54, 5,000 years. Aptitude, 5th grade spiritual root, 40%. 1. Swordsmanship, 3rd class, low grade, 50%. Rune, 2nd class, high grade, 70%. 7th order formation, 3rd class, high grade, 99°/degree. Pill master, 3rd class, low grade, 80°/0. Phantasma transformation skill, grade achievement, 30%. 5 elements alchemy technique, grandmaster, 30%. 7 apertures spirit secret, heart eye recognition, heart eye perception, heart eye linguistics, 77%. Fireball technique, grandmaster, 99%, wind blade art, proficiency, golden light skill, proficiency, ice frost skill, proficiency, spring wind rain skill, proficiency, lightning summoning skill, proficiency. Obsession Gu, 4th class, low grade. Clone Gu, 3rd class, low grade. Wine Bug, 3rd class, low grade. Gold Eating Bug, 3rd class, low grade. Bookworm, 3rd class, low grade. Dream Soul Gu, 3rd class, middle grade. Dragon Elephant Gu, 3rd class, low grade. Golden Light Thousand Poison Gu, 3rd class, low grade. Teleportation Insect, 3rd class, low grade. Array Heart Gu, 3rd class, high grade. Object Searching Gu, 3rd class, low grade. The first data he paid attention to was naturally his lifespan. Clearly, upon advancing to the Golden Core realm, his lifespan had also received a significant increase. It had increased to a level of 5,000 years. This was an astonishingly long lifespan, simply beyond imagination. Even the civilization of his previous world, the Chinese civilization, had a history of just 5,000 years. And now, his lifespan was comparable to that of the Xia civilization. Even God transformation cultivators probably couldn't live that long, right? He had the understanding that God transformation cultivators in this world could live for around 3,000 years. So, his current lifespan surpasses that of a nascent soul elder. He could also be considered an old tortoise of 1,000 years now. As expected, the goo insects on my body have also evolved. With a thought from Zhou Sui, he sensed that the 11 goo insects on his body, compared to before, had a quality-like increase and had all advanced into the third stage. The obsession goo had even advanced to the 4th class, low grade, and its strength had geometrically improved compared to before. He sensed an unimaginable power inside the 4th grade obsession goo. Chapter 298. Third Stage Bookworm, Birth of a Virtual Library _1. Boom. At this moment, Zhou Sui sensed a mysterious power emanating from the 4th stage obsession goo, causing his throat to undergo an incredible transformation, altering his voice. The power of the 4th stage obsession goo heavenly charm voice. Zhou Sui immediately understood the transformation that the 4th stage obsession goo had brought about. If the 3rd stage obsession goo altered his scent, morphing him into the body of heavenly charm. However, this was not the complete form of the body of heavenly charm, but merely one aspect of its abilities. He had now acquired the second ability of the body of heavenly charm voice. This ability caused his voice to change. Each word and phrase was imbued with infinite charm. For female cultivators, his voice was full of male allure, and they could even become enchanted, developing a favorable impression, and unknowingly harboring feelings of love. As for male cultivators, his voice also fostered a deep sense of trust, as if he were one of their own kin or close friends. Even for non-human creatures, his voice would inspire positive feelings within them. Have I finally transcended beyond being human? Is it possible to even influence the feelings of alien species? If that's the case, can I use my voice to control beasts? Zhou Sui blinked. Although he was well aware of the power of obsession goo, as it evolved, it started manifesting even more astonishing abilities. Even if the 4th stage obsession goo did not possess much combat power, its auxiliary abilities were exceptional. He also knew that in the world of cultivators, there were sects specializing in beast control. But these sects controlled beasts through contracts. If his voice could also control beasts, it would signify the possession of an additional formidable ability. A single command could make countless beasts obey him. One could say, the abilities the 4th stage obsession goo brought were boundless in their applications. The bookworm has also advanced to the lower 3rd stage realm. The 3rd stage bookworm has fostered a virtual library. I can drag my soul into the virtual library and learn within. Furthermore, my understanding would increase threefold while studying in the virtual library. The stronger my soul power, the longer I can persist. Zhou Sui's eyes lit up instantly. Although he knew the abilities of the bookworm would greatly enhance upon advancing to the 3rd stage realm, he did not anticipate the increment to be so dramatic, to the extent of fostering a virtual library. The bookworm was no longer just a book, it had transformed into a grand data library. Because it had assimilated the heritage jade records collected by the King Mu sect, Immortal Mist sect, Danding faction, and numerous Golden Core masters. The knowledge bookworm possessed was in no way inferior to any Golden Core sect with a heritage of thousands of years. Even the heritage of the slightly weaker nascent soul sect was likely at this level. Because of this, it could indeed transform into a grand virtual library, where each assimilated book and heritage jade record would appear. The bookworm could even pull the souls of other cultivators into the virtual library, allowing these cultivators to study within the virtual library and enhance their understanding. Boom! Upon this thought, Zhou Sui made a mental move and found his consciousness immediately entering the void within the bookworm. Amazingly, he found himself truly within a massive library. Innumerable books were stored within this library, densely packed, along with enormous quantities of heritage jade records. All these were also books that the bookworm had assimilated. Now they had all been digitized and appeared in this virtual library. Indeed, while staying in the virtual library, my understanding has enhanced. According to the strength of my soul, even studying for over 10 hours wouldn't be a problem. Even a foundation establishment cultivator could study here for an hour. If it's a golden core cultivator, studying for 5 or 6 hours would be effortless. This place is truly an auxiliary cultivation tool. Zhou Sui's eyes brightened, filled with excitement. He sensed the power of the bookworm growing stronger. It seemed to have become an intellectual brain attached to his body. It not only helped him store infinite data but also assist in his learning. The benefits were immeasurable. However, the bookworm's influence is not limited to me alone. It can also have influence on my Dao companions. In other words, if I lend it to my Dao companions, it can also accelerate their growth. Of course, I can't expose the true nature of the bookworm. I'd better hide it as a treasure, named Treasure Book Mountain. In this way, the origins of the bookworm can be hidden. Zhou Sui stroked his chin. To tell the truth, if the power of the bookworm only benefits me, it would be too wasteful. The most crucial point was, if the cultivation of a Dao companion elevated, then he would also reap tremendous benefits. Both aspects complement each other. If all his 6 Dao companions could advance to the nascent soul realm, or even the divinity transformation realm, then his spiritual root could definitely be enhanced to a first-grade spiritual root, or even reach the level of the heavenly spiritual root. Now he could feel the importance of having a spiritual root even more acutely. If he had an upper-grade spiritual root aptitude, then his cultivation efficiency would exceed that of the present by several times. Chapter 299. The Third Stage Bookworm. Birth of the Virtual Library _2. Unfortunate as it was, he still remained at the level of a 5th grade spiritual root. To advance to the 4th grade spiritual root level, a significant amount of time would be necessary. Other goo insects are also progressing to the 3rd stage one after another. Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes slightly. Apart from the bookworm and the obsession goo, the clone goo had also advanced to the 3rd stage. After reaching this realm, the clone goo could create even more clones. Of course, the most important thing was that there was no longer any distance limit between the clones and the main body. Even a distance of billions of miles didn't result in a loss of connection with the main body. So now he could fully utilize the clone goo to explore distant territories and even adventure across various lands. The teleportation insect had also advanced to the 3rd stage. It could now teleport millions of kilometers in a single go and do so 20 times. All that was required was 10 years worth of void energy. Compared to before, the power of the teleportation insect had magnified many times over. It was a quantum leap in its capabilities. With the 3rd stage teleportation insect, even if he was pursued by a nascent soul ancestor, he could escape unscathed. With the power of the 3rd stage teleportation insect, he could move millions of kilometers in an instant. Even a nascent soul ancestor could not achieve such speed. Although cultivators at the nascent soul level could also teleport, the issue was that they had to do so at the cost of their nascent soul leaving their body, and they couldn't teleport as far. Very good, very good. Zhou Sui felt instantly at ease, a sense of safety pervading his being. His desire to advance to the Golden Core realm was fueled by his intention to transform the teleportation insect. In this way, even if he were to be pursued by a nascent soul ancestor, he could still survive. Now looking at his decision, indeed it was the correct one. With the power of the teleportation insect, even if the nascent soul ancestor wanted to chase him down, it wouldn't be that simple. The situation with the other goo insects is not bad either. Zhou Sui continued assessing the condition of the other goo insects. The wine bug, gold-eating bug, dragon elephant goo, and object-searching goo insects had also reached the 3rd stage. Their abilities had greatly improved compared to before. Although they hadn't given birth to new abilities, they harbored an extremely potent power. The Dream Soul goo had also advanced to middle grade of the 3rd stage, and the Dream region's power it controlled also became more domineering. One could say it was closely related to Zhou Sui's soul power, complementing each other. Finally, the Array Heart goo didn't show much change. It was still at the 3rd class, high grade level, and didn't break through just because Zhou Sui made a breakthrough. The reason being, the Array Heart goo fed on 7th order formations. The more of these it devoured, the faster its progress would be. To advance to the 4th stage, it must devour a 4th order formation. It seems if I want the Array Heart goo to evolve, I need to take it along to find 4th order formations. It is said that the headquarters of the Wuji Alliance, Wuji Island, has a 4th class, high grade formation. If I let the Array Heart goo go to Wuji Island, perhaps it could silently devour this 4th order formation. Zhou Sui rubbed his chin. Last time he visited Wuji Island, he didn't have access to the core area, only able to wander around the outskirts, thus, he had no way to get close to the 4th order formation. After all, he was only a foreigner and hadn't completely joined the Wuji Alliance yet. But now, things were different. He conveniently used the power of the magic summoning scripture to turn 3 golden core cultivators into his puppets. They happened to be high-ranking members of the Wuji alliance. If he harnessed the power of Shang Guansu and the others, perhaps he would have a chance to get close to the Fourth Order formation on Wuji Island. Once he learned the Fourth Order formation, the Tri-Star Island group would witness earth-shaking changes. After all, beneath the Tri-Star Island group, there existed a fourth class, high-grade spirit vein. With the aid of this spirit vein, he could arrange a Fourth Order array. By the time he had that Fourth Order array, even if a nascent soul ancestor attacked, he could hold them off. Such was the might of a Fourth Order formation, it could challenge a higher order. It's settled, perfectly settled. If the Fourth Order array is set up successfully, it can completely block a nascent soul ancestor. Even if it really can't hold, I can still escape with the third stage teleportation. Insect. Now I am invincible. Zhou Sui was very satisfied. He felt that after advancing to the early golden core stage, he finally had some footing in this cruel world of cultivation. He never had to worry about his life disappearing at any moment again. No, I can't become overconfident. Lest a nascent soul elder suddenly jump out from somewhere and casually slap me to death. Then it would really become a joke. Zhou Sui took a deep breath and started to calm down. Although reaching the golden core realm was indeed good, he still couldn't run rampant. The Kanglan Sea area was vast. Who could be entirely sure that there were no nascent soul elders there? At this time, he also recalled the existence of the blood demon tree on Mist Island, whose cultivation was unfathomable. Its level was something he could not compare to at his current stage. Several days later, Zhou Sui finally ended his retreat and stepped out of his cave dwelling. My husband! Congratulations on successfully reaching the core formation and becoming a golden core master. At this time, Ji Binjiu, Xia Jinjian, Mu Ziai, as well as Lin Yazu, Lang Yuexi and Shen Baiqian, along with the other Dao companions, had been waiting nearby for a while. They immediately sensed the strong golden core chi from Zhou Sui's body. How could they not know that their husband had definitely reached the core formation? Otherwise, how could he possibly release the golden core chi? Chapter 300. Third Stage Bookworm, Birth of a Virtual Library _3. I never expected that you would actually be able to succeed in core formation on your own, that's truly amazing. Lang Yuexi was utterly in awe of Zhou Sui. She knew just how difficult forming a core on one's own was. Even in the past, when she possessed a first-grade spiritual root and was at the peak of foundation establishment, she dared not attempt independent core formation. She too needed to ingest the core formation spiritual item, Ice Fire spiritual liquid, and then the golden liquid jade return pill to successfully form the core. If she did not have these two core formation spiritual items, her chances of successfully forming a core on her own would not exceed 30%. But now, her husband did not need any core formation spiritual items and succeeded in forming a core all on his own. If this news went out, it would surely shock the entire Kanglan Sea region. Because this implies that the future success rate of forming a nascent soul has exceeded 30%. This was undoubtedly a future nascent soul seedling. It was a matter of course. As long as the foundation of cultivation is solid enough, anyone can form a core on their own. Zhou Sui modestly said. Hearing this, Lin Yazu and the others twitched at the corners of their mouths, finding his statement somewhat presumptuous. Merely having a solid foundation was already beyond the reach of more than 99% of cultivators. After all, most cultivators lacking talent, even if they rely on meditation for practice, wouldn't be able to advance to the late stage of foundation establishment before they exhausted their lifespan. It's not that they don't want to establish a solid foundation, but that they simply can't. Because they don't have enough lifespan. Unless they could live for several hundred years, use those hundreds of years to gradually polish their foundation, and elevate their cultivation to the extreme, perhaps then they would have a chance to successfully form core on their own. The problem is, which foundation establishment cultivator has that kind of lifespan? A foundation establishment cultivator can only survive for 250 years. But, if they exceed 200 years, it's basically hopeless to form a core at that time. The foundation establishment cultivator will be old and weak, and even if they forcibly try to form a core, they will self-destruct and die. Every cultivator is struggling against heaven. The speed of their cultivation is paramount. The sooner they reach the late stage of foundation establishment, the greater the success rate of their future core formation. Of course, it's not that forming a core on one's own is always the best. Even if one relies on external objects to form a core, there's nothing wrong with that. 5. The reason why humans are powerful is because they are good at using external things. If the talent is inadequate, then the aid of external forces is needed to accelerate the progress of cultivation. You don't need to emulate me, I only chose to try forming a core on my own because I felt confident. If you really can't, relying on core formation spiritual items is not a big deal. Zhou Sui smirked. True, who else is as abnormal as you, my husband? Not only can you independently form the foundation, you can also independently form the core, and in the future, you might even be able to independently form the nascent soul. Ji Binjiao complained irritably. Comparing oneself to her abnormal husband really is demoralizing, there's just no comparison. It turns out that I have successfully formed my core. This time, my cultivation has greatly improved. I will surely be able to help you all progress quickly. And I can experiment with a few new techniques I just learned, you all will be absolutely fascinated. Zhou Sui stroked his chin, his gaze roaming over the alluring bodies of his wives. He felt a bit eager. Tisk. Hearing this, Ji Binjiao and the others blushed, very aware of this man's intentions. He hadn't been out of core formation for long, and already he was thinking of such wicked things. But they didn't reject him either, because they too had not practiced their cultivation together for a long time. Each of them, swaying their enchanting figures, made their way into the bedroom. Soon, the bedroom was filled with an atmosphere of intense desire. A full 3 days have passed. Only then did Zhou Sui's celebration of core formation with his wives finally come to an end. After all, he had been cultivating in seclusion for a long time and had not had contact with his wives, naturally he was quite eager. Honestly, he was curious, how do the single male cultivators who have lived hundreds of years relieve themselves? They neither have a deo companion nor do they have friends, they are lone individuals dedicated purely to the pursuit of longevity. Is that it? Of course, everyone has their own choices, and he had no comment on them. He was not that kind of person and couldn't possibly be so indifferent. Rather, frolicking with the beautiful deo partners, and pursuing longevity together, made life more wonderful. Otherwise, even if one achieves deo and longevity, what is the point of it all? However, at this moment, the Pill Medicine Peak's Peak Master, Ma Kyunjun, and other Foundation establishment elders, all rushed to the Immortal Mist Peak with anxious expressions, as if something major had occurred. At this juncture, Zhou Sui, along with Lang Yuexi and the others all in complete attire, emerged from the bedroom. Only, their blushing faces and gently trembling bodies indicated that something rather significant had just transpired. Did Elder Zhou come out of seclusion? Could it be that Elder Zhou has successfully formed a core? Ma Kyunjun and the other Foundation establishment elders were surprised when they saw Zhou Sui. They originally thought he was still in seclusion for core formation, they didn't expect him to come out so soon. But they quickly sensed the golden core aura from Zhou Sui that he wasn't concealing, and they were immediately set aback. That's right, I have successfully formed a core. Zhou Sui flashed a slight smile, not hiding anything. In the past, he kept a low profile simply because his strength was inadequate. Now that he had become a golden core cultivator, who else should he fear aside from the nascent soul ancestor? So, he no longer wanted to hide his cultivation level, it was time to make it public. Of course, the most important thing was that they were all from the Immortal Mist sect, and the elders of the Danding faction and King Mu sect, they were all his own people.